So, hey guys. Hope you are doing great. Welcome to Just a Shinobi. So, this is the story about what if Naruto gets gifts from the god. Part 2. Hope you love first part. I am sure you will love this what if. And if you did, please hit the subscribe button for more awesome videos like this. Check out my other videos, share with your friends and enjoy them. Check out the description. Comment down your opinion. So, without wasting any time, let's see today's what if. Chapter 11 Meeting the team. It was an eventful day and Naruto was exhausted. Graduation exam in the morning at the academy, receiving gifts from the summons and training in the afternoon, then the Mizuki debacle in the forest left him with almost no energy left. He arrived home on his last leg, so he lugged his aching body towards his room up on the second floor, placed a folder he got from the Hokage on the bedside table, shed his clothes, then immediately jumped on the bed. But despite how exhausted his body was, sleep is still far from his mind since he was thinking about who will be his teammates tomorrow. Naruto didn't really have any preference on who would become his teammate. In truth, his only requirement is that they are strong enough to overcome the challenges they will be facing in the future as genins of Konohagakure no Sado and avoid getting them and himself killed. Since sleep is still impossible at the moment, he reached towards the bedside table and took the folder he expertly conned from the old man. He opened it up and what he saw surprised him a bit. It seems that this year's teams were geared toward specialties instead of balance. According to the files, it seems that he belonged to Team 7 under Hada Kakashi, with members Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura, and himself. His team was slated to be frontliners during combat situations, aiming for power to overcome whatever opponents they faced. He checked out Sasuke's stats and found it to be obvious, considering that the Uchiha prodigy was strong compared to the rest of their batchmates, except for him of course he added as an afterthought. It says in the file that Sasuke would be the ninjutsu and taijutsu expert of the team, especially when his Sharingan activates and increase his jutsu repertoire. There was also a note that ninjutsu might become his forte if his Sharingan eyes display such capabilities. Next was Haruno Sakura. He groaned thinking about her fangirlish tendency towards the Uchiha. If their sensei can't cure her of it, then his team is doomed from the start. However, her stats and team contribution was impressive to say the least. Who knew that her chakra control was the best among her peers, and it seems that she has a pseudo-bloodline that allowed her to increase her physical attacks. He almost laughed when he saw his stats on the file. It seems that his goal to act weak was a success if the figures under his name were of any indication. Ninjutsu was an all-time high due to his bloodline, and taijutsu was recorded as average. He seethed a bit considering that the Uchiha was recorded higher than him, even though he wiped the floor with him quite easy. He guessed his act was too convincing and vowed to disillusion everyone of the truth when they see him in action. The prospect made him release an evil grin. He checked the other teams on the folder, but he didn't find anything interesting, so he closed it up and placed it back on the table before forcing himself to sleep. Next day academy. The classroom was buzzing with excitement. Almost all those who passed the graduation exam yesterday were excited on who their teammates and sensei would be. There were only 4 exceptions though: Shikamaru who was sleeping, again, Shino who was as stoic as ever, the ever-breeding Uchiha, and of course, Naruto who was just observing everyone in class with a calm yet bored look. The door of the classroom opened to reveal their academy instructor, Yumino Iruka, who quickly strolled to the podium in front of the class and called for everyone to be silent. Eventually, the noise died down, especially when he leveled a heated glare to both Sakura and Ino, who were arguing on who gets to sit next to their precious Sasuke-kun. Naruto just rolled his eyes at the scene. Congratulations to everyone who passed the exams yesterday. You are now proud genin of Konoha, and I'm sure that you all would be strong shinobis and kunoichis in the future to make the village proud. Now, let me announce the teams and their respective senseis. First is Team 1. Iruka droned on and on while Naruto ignored him. He already knew who will go to which team, but Iruka doesn't need to know that he does. When Iruka finished announcing Team 6, Naruto gave him his undivided attention. Team 7 would be Uchiha Sasuke. All the girls in the classroom squealed that made the rest of the class wince at the high-pitched sound. Haruno Sakura. The squealing disappeared except for one excited Sakura who was belittling Ino for not getting into the team with the love of his life. And Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. When Iruka mentioned his name, the entire class became silent. Sakura and the rest of the fangirls were giving him a glare while the boys were shaking their heads in pity since Naruto will be stuck with the loudmouth Sakura. Naruto just gave them all an amused look but continued to stay silent. Iruka continued. Teammate will be Hinata Hyuga, Aburame Shino, and Inyazuka Kiba. Your jounin instructor would be Kurina Yuhi. Team 9 is still in circulation under Mito Gai. Team 10 will be Yamanaka Ino, Nara Shikamaru, and Akimichi Chouji. Shikamaru groaned. Great, I'm stuck with Ino. This is so troublesome. Mumbled the lazy Nara heir. Naruto just chuckled. Relax Shika. It won't be that bad. Said Naruto. Sure you troublesome blonde. You're in the same boat as me. You got Sakura. Shikamaru pointed out. Naruto just waved his hand. Nah. Having Sakura in the team won't be so bad. I'm sure our sensei will work with her to get rid of her fangirl attitude. I mean, it would be a problem if she doesn't act like a real kunoichi during missions. Defended Naruto. Shikamaru just huffed and went back to his nap. Now that you all know who your teammates are, your Jounin senseis will be picking you up in a bit, so I want you to stay in the classroom until they arrive. With that, Hiruka left the room and the newly minted genins went back to their usual noisy selves. It didn't take long for the Jounin senseis to pick up their students. First was Yuuhi Kurenai who called out to Team 8 and commanded them to proceed to Training Ground 8 for their meeting. This was followed closely by Team 10 Sarutobi Asuma. One by one, the Jounin senseis for each team picked up their respective genins until only Team 7 were left. It has been 2 hours now and Naruto is bored out of his mind and he was getting a small twitch on his eyes because of it. After the first hour, he tried to mingle with his teammates in hopes to get to know them better on a personal level before their sensei arrives. The idea was immediately shot down when Sasuke just leveled him a glare and Sakura screeched for him to stop bothering her Sasuke-kun. He stayed away from the two and chose to pass the time playing with his elemental orbs, making them do tricks to get rid of his boredom. He saw Sasuke gave him a jealous glare, again, which Sakura naturally saw so she proceeded to berate Naruto for showing off in front of her Sasuke-kun. This grated on his nerves and he was a hair's breadth away to giving her a taste of his elemental drill. Okami how he wanted to. 3 hours passed when Naruto's keen hearing heard the sound of footsteps outside the door. He immediately dispelled his Kamagen and sat straight on his seat. The door opened to reveal their Jounin sensei. There was something familiar about the guy, Naruto mused. Sure he has this lazy look in his eyes, but he already learned a long time ago that in the world of shinobi, deception is practiced like an art form. However, what caught his attention was the gravity-defying silver hair of the Jounin. He only knew one person who had that hair and that made Naruto grin. Yo. I'm Hada Kakashi, Jounin. You're Team 7, right? Kakashi asked the 3 genins in front of him. You're late. Screeched Sakura while Sasuke just brooded though you can feel his irritation over their late sensei. Naruto inwardly laughed at their antics. Well, I have to help this old lady carry her groceries since she was complaining that they were heavy. Then I was accosted by a pair of black cats on the way here, so I have to go back home and do the luck ritual so I won't get their bad luck. Explained Kakashi with an eye smile. Naruto was trying his best to avoid releasing his laughter that made his stomach ache from clamping it down. Liar. Shouted the pink-haired banshee. Anyway, I want you to be on the roof in 10 minutes. Don't be late. He instructed his students before disappearing with an audible poof. Naruto stood up from his seat and looked at his fellow teammate. See you up there folks. He teleported away to follow his silver-haired sensei in a pillar of red flames. He totally missed the glare from Sasuke. Kakashi arrived on the roof in a puff of smoke and proceeded to wait for his team to come up for the meeting. He tensed when a pillar of flames suddenly erupted a few feet away from him, revealing a grinning Naruto. Yo Naruto. He greeted the blonde genin. Dog-san? Asked Naruto. Yep it's me, but could you keep my Anbu codename a secret? No one is supposed to know. Informed Kakashi. Sure. Why didn't you tell me your name before and why did you quit Anbu? Asked Naruto. Kakashi scratched the back of his head. Well, I didn't tell you my name because I wasn't allowed to. Hokage-sama asked me to take a temporary leave from my position in Anbu to take a genin team. I was shocked myself, but I can consider this as a vacation which I sorely needed. He explained. Naruto nodded. He moved to one of the benches on the roof and sat down, while Kakashi just sat in one of the railings in front of him. So how have you been? You haven't visited me in a while. Sorry about that. I have been busy with all the missions assigned to my Anbu team. Besides, I was pulled out of your protection since you didn't need it anymore. The Hokage told me that you can easily protect yourself if the spar you had with him was any indication. You were there? Asked a startled Naruto. Nope, but Hokage-sama explained the entire spar to me when I asked why I was being removed and reassigned. Explained Kakashi. Naruto was about to ask something else when the door opened to reveal a brooding Sasuke and a winded Sakura. Both Kakashi and Naruto shook their heads on how weak she is. Kakashi was already regretting the work he will be putting in the team just to help Sakura catch up to the boys' level. Good, you're all here. Now what we are going to do is to introduce ourselves for us to get to know each other better. Said Kakashi while giving his students an eye smile. Why don't you start first sensei to show us how it's done? Asked Sakura. Sure. My name is Hada Kakashi your Jounin sensei. There are a lot of things I like that you need not concern yourself about. My dislike are. I don't think I want to share that with you either. My hobbies. Moving on. My dreams for the future. Well. It's too personal for you to know, so I'll just keep it to myself, thank you very much. Sakura was fuming that all they got was his name. Sasuke was doing the same thing. Naruto was trying his best not to laugh at their faces. Why don't you go next, Pinky? Said Kakashi, pointing to Sakura, who was bristling for being called Pinky. My name is Haruno Sakura. I like. She looked at Sasuke and squealed. My dislikes are Ino and Naruto Baka. My hobbies are. She gave Sasuke a glance, then blushed. And my dreams for the future are. He gave Sasuke a lustful look which scared the dark-haired teen. Okay, your turn, Blondie. He then pointed at Naruto, who he noticed was sweating from holding back his laughter. Naruto coughed and straightened in his seat. My name is Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. My hobbies are training, reading the various books in my clan's library, my summons, and ramen. Upon the mention of summons, both Kakashi and Sasuke were giving him weird looks. I like my adopted family, namely the Ichiraku family, Hokage, Dog-san, and flying around with my summon. I dislike people who are arrogant, bigoted, and close-minded. My dream for the future is to make my friends and families proud and become the strongest shinobi in the world. Kakashi nodded, then looked at the brooding Sasuke. Your turn, emo boy. Sasuke scowled. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I don't have any likes and I have a lot of dislikes. My hobby is to train to get stronger. My dream, no my life ambition, is to avenge my clan by killing someone I hate. He said all this in a monotone voice. Sakura found Sasuke's introduction to be badass and she was looking at him with hearts in her eyes. Naruto and Kakashi were having similar thoughts, this kid is going to be trouble. Kakashi nodded at their introduction. Good. Now that we know a little bit about each other, I want you all to meet me in training ground 7 at exactly 6 in the morning for survival training tomorrow. The three genins were giving him shocked looks. However, it was Sakura who decided to speak her mind. Kakashi-sensei, we already passed the survival training while we were in the academy. I know, but this is my survival training in order for you to pass and become genins of Konoha. Now this caught Sasuke and Naruto's attention. Sakura, however, didn't like what she heard. What? But Iruka-sensei told us that we are already genins and we already passed the exam yesterday. Kakashi winced at the loud voice. True, you did pass the academy exam, but that doesn't necessarily mean you are genins. The exams in the academy were to weed out untalented students who don't have what it takes to become shinobis. Those who pass will need to take another test from their respective jounin sensei before they can be recognized as real genins of Konoha. So what's entailed in this survival training you mentioned, Kakashi-sensei? Asked Naruto, curious about the whole thing. Kakashi just gave Naruto a small smile. You'll just have to find out tomorrow now, would you? Also, I would like to warn you that not all of you can pass. In fact, statistics shows that 66% of those who took part of their jounin sensei's test failed. He said the last part in an ominous voice that practically sent shiver down their spines. Anyway, see you tomorrow in training ground 7 at 6. Oh, by the way, don't eat any breakfast since you will definitely puke it out during my test. With that, he left via Shunshin, leaving the three genins alone. Naruto looked over to where his teammates were seated. Hey guys, why don't we go get a bite of lunch together and discuss about the test tomorrow? Sasuke grunted a negative and started to walk away, while Sakura just gave him a glare and followed the brooding teen. He shrugged his shoulders and decided to drop his attempts to make friends with his teammates. He looked up and saw that it was still early, so he decided to spend some quality time with his favorite Phoenix summon and enjoy some much-needed flight. He walked to the center of the roof, not noticing that Sasuke and Sakura were looking at him. He channeled a bit of his chakra to his phoenix tattoo to call out one of his favorite summons. A large puff of smoke covered the entire roof before it dispersed to reveal an dark red phoenix with amber eyes. Naruto-sama. What can I do for you this fine day? Greeted the phoenix summon. Hi Hikari. I have the whole afternoon free, so what you say for spending it enjoying a good fly? Asked an excited Naruto. Of course Naruto-sama. I always enjoy our flight together. Hop on. Hikari agreed and spread her wings a bit to invite the Naruto to jump on her back. Naruto didn't waste any time. He jumped and landed on Hikari's back and channeled chakra to his feet to stick him in place. Hikari rose to her full height and spread her impressive wings. She flapped a couple of times before launching into the air in a powerful jump and flew away towards one of the forested areas surrounding Konoha. Sakura jaw dropped at the sight and was looking at Naruto and his bird while they were flying away. She couldn't believe what Naruto just did. Sasuke, on the other hand, was shaking in rage. He was the rookie of the year, but Naruto commanded such a powerful summon. By all right, it should be his. He stomped off to the door to leave the academy with Sakura trailing along behind him. When the roof was clear, Kakashi dropped his genjutsu and chuckled a bit at Naruto's show-off attitude. He shook his head at the other two's actions when Naruto offered a chance for them to be friends. "I have my work cut out for me with these three. I hope Kami will show some mercy," mumbled Kakashi before he left the roof this time for real. Chapter 12 Kakashi's Test. Naruto woke up to the blaring of the alarm which he set up last night before going to avoid so he won't be late. He yawned and stretched a bit to get the kinks out of his sleeping muscles before rolling off the bed and proceeded to the bathroom for his morning ritual. After his morning shower, he created a shadow clone to make him some breakfast, as well as some packed ones for his team later. He decided yesterday evening when he got home that the instruction to avoid eating was detrimental to a shinobi's health, especially when a mission is concerned. A shinobi always needs his energy to be at full capacity before engaging in any mission, so there was something fishy about the whole thing. Also, shinobis were supposed to be about deception, so he wouldn't one-up over Kakashi to make some bogus instructions just to fool them. He went up to the armory and proceeded to seal some much-needed supply, just in case Kakashi's test involved some big battle between the team. He decided to bring 50 kunes, 50 shurikens, 10 explosive tags, and 10 soldier pills, just in case his teammates run out of chakra in the middle of a brawl. He packed some of it into his holsters and pouch, while he sealed the rest in a scroll which he placed in one of the hidden pockets on his robe. He went down to the kitchen and ate a hearty breakfast and picked up the spare food and sealed them into a storage seal on his left arm. It was an impressive seal that he invented that is very useful for any shinobi who spends a lot of time in the field. But the storage seal on their body, they can easily bring the necessities with them on any mission without having to bring scrolls or packs with them. Unfortunately, only he alone knows how to create such a seal and hasn't yet told anyone about it. After all, he needs a few aces up his sleeves and he can always pass it off as a clan technique so the council won't pester him about it. He saw that there's still an hour left before meeting the team, so he decided to take the scenic route. He summoned Hikari again, took out some sweets that she liked and fed it to her before taking off for training ground 7. When he arrived at his destination, he saw that his teammates were already there. He instructed Hikari to hover for a while before landing so he can observe his teammates. After looking closely, he saw that both Sakura and Sasuke were looking worst for wear. It seems that they followed Kakashi's advice to the letter and didn't eat breakfast. He nudged Hikari to land, which she did, landing a few feet away from the rest of Team 7 before Naruto jumped off. He thanked Hikari with another round of sweets which she hastily gobbled up before poofing back to her home. Naruto shook his head at his friend's antics. Who knew that phoenixes were addicted to sweets? Naruto walked over to his team. Sasuke was sitting on top of one of the training logs that littered the training ground while Sakura was sitting underneath. He walked over to them. "Hi Sasuke, Sakura. Good morning." Naruto greeted them cheerfully. Sasuke just gave him a disgusted look. "What's so good about the morning dope?" He grunted. "Yeah. If you noticed, we didn't get much sleep and we didn't get to eat any breakfast. We are hungry and it's still too early," complained an irate Sakura. Naruto just gave them amused looks. "Don't tell me you followed Kakashi's advice to not eat breakfast," he said incredulously. Both his teammates just gave him a look as if he was crazy. "Baka. Of course we did. Kakashi-sensei said so," said Sakura irritably. Naruto shook his head. He flopped down in front of his teammate and gave them a calm look. "Eyes. If you think about it, Kakashi-sensei didn't exactly tell us not to eat breakfast." "What do you mean dope?" said Sasuke. "Think about it. He said not to eat breakfast since we are just going to throw it up. If you think that you can handle his exam then you can eat without having to worry about his order. Hell, you can even get a few bites so your stomach won't bother you until the next meal. Also, don't you think that it is against the shinobi code to not eat breakfast? What if this was a mission? You would be dead before you can get a mile out of Konoha. What if you got ambushed on your way to your destination with your client? How can you protect them if you don't even have enough chakra to attack?" explained Naruto as patiently as he could to get his point across. Sasuke was deep in thought while Sakura was silent for once. Both were thinking about what Naruto said. Seeing that both were thinking about it, he decided to nudge them a little more into becoming a team. He really wanted them to see him as a teammate instead of a rival. "I see that you understood what I was trying to say, so did you guys bring any food? There's still a few minutes before the start of the test so you can eat some food to keep your energies up." Sakura looked at him nervously before saying no. "We didn't bring any food with us," she said dejectedly. Sasuke just stayed silent, but both winced when their stomachs released a loud growl of hunger. Naruto just smirked and channeled a bit of chakra to the storage seal on his left hand. With a puff of smoke, a medium-sized lunchbox appeared in between them. Naruto removed the cover to reveal enough breakfast to feed 3 people easily. Inside were sweet buns, some fruits, and a bottle of orange juice. both were eyeing the food hungrily. Good thing I thought of packing some extra food just in case we have to stay here long. Why don't you guys eat so we won't have to worry about both of you dropping like flies later? Said Naruto cheerfully, and to prove his point, he took out a sweet bun and took a deep bite. Seeing Naruto eat the food was enough for Sasuke and Sakura to accept Naruto's offer. Both dived hungrily into the lunchbox and ate everything in sight. Naruto was amused at watching them fill their empty stomachs with all the food that he brought along. Sasuke and Sakura flushed down the food they ate with a healthy swig of juice. Both sighed and had a look of contentment on their faces. Naruto just gave them a smile and replaced the now empty lunchbox back into the seal. "So guys, any idea what the test is all about?" asked Naruto, leaning on one of the poles. Sakura shook her head. "Nope. I tried asking Ino's dad about it, but he was tight-lipped. Any idea, Sasuke-kun?" Sasuke just grunted and mumbled no. "Well, whatever it is, we can easily handle it. Sasuke is the rookie of the year after all, and Sakura is one of the brightest kunoichi in the academy. Between the three of us, this will be a piece of cake," declared Naruto confidently. Sasuke's chest puffed slightly at the praise, and Sakura blushed a bit while giving Naruto a grateful look. The trio settled into a comfortable silence while waiting for their sensei to appear, but it all went down to hell after an hour of waiting. Out of boredom, each decided to do something to pass the time since leaving was out of the question. Sasuke decided to do a little bit of target practice by throwing kunes at one of the training posts. Sakura, as usual, was busy showering praises with Sasuke's every throw. Naruto moved away from the group and settled into a comfortable stance in the middle of the field, feet spread apart at shoulder width, with both hands spread on his sides, all fingers together pointing to the ground. He took a deep breath and channeled his chakra into his hands, specifically to his fingers, and slowly formed 2 chakra blades. He closed his eyes and started his exercise. Naruto was fascinated with the concept of wielding 2 blades due to its capability of both attacks and defense. Despite the lack of reading material on dual sword techniques in his clan library, Naruto decided to make his own style by integrating 2 swords to his mother's kenjutsu technique. He found that there were a lot of holes for a 2-sword style, but he decided to make a new kata out of it by using the original as foundation. Progress was slow, but Naruto was determined to get it down. Sasuke paused from his throwing practice when he saw Naruto create his chakra blades and was gripped with envy at the sight. Since he was young, he has been praised and showered with gifts since he was the last loyal Uchiha in Konoha. The attention didn't really affect him much at first, but the constant show of it slowly made him arrogant, especially when someone displays more power than him. He gritted his teeth and decided to confront the blonde. He pocketed all the kunes he used, then stomped off towards his blonde teammate, with Sakura trailing along behind him. When he got near, he saw that Naruto's eyes were closed in concentration as he weaved through each swing. He didn't like being ignored, so he decided to cut in. "Hey dope." Naruto was brought out of his focus when he heard Sasuke's voice. He stopped his exercise and dispersed his chakra blades, then faced his dark-haired teammate. "Anything I can do for you, Sasuke?" he asked calmly. "How did you create those blades?" demanded Sasuke. Naruto just gave him a long look. He knew that Sasuke was always jealous of people who showed more skill than him, and he understood his mindset considering his goal of avenging his family. He didn't really hate the guy, but he always has this dislike of arrogant people. He decided last night to approach his teammates with caution since he really wanted this team to work out. Humoring Sasuke, he flopped down on the grass and settled into a lotus position and gestured Sasuke to do the same, which he did. "What do you want to know, Sasuke?" Naruto asked politely, determined to reach deep into his teammate's attitude and try to appeal on a professional level. "I want to know how you made those things, or whatever it is you call them," asked Sasuke irritably. Naruto smiled at the dark-haired Avenger's demands and decided to play along. "What do you know of the Uzumaki clan?" Irritated at being asked a question, he snipped a not-so-friendly reply. "Why should I know about such a loser clan?" Naruto ignored the pitiful jab to his clan's honor. "Well, if you want to know about how I created my chakra blades, then you first need to know about the Uzumaki clan in general," answered Naruto in the same calm voice, though the narrowed eyes gave testament that he was holding his temper from flaring out. Sakura decided to butt in since she was curious about Naruto's clan. Naruto. What is the connection between the Uzumaki clan and those chakra blades you mentioned?" Naruto looked at Sakura. Seeing that she was genuinely curious, he decided to explain it to her and by extension, to Sasuke. "Everything. The current skills I have are all part of my bloodline that is quite common in the Uzumaki clan." He raised one of his hands and created a chakra blade for them to see. "This is just one of the few things I can do with my bloodline. This is called chakra manipulation. It allows me to create any construct out of chakra and focus alone." There is something in my clan's DNA that allows us to gain control of our own chakra as if it was sentient and bend it to our will. Explained Naruto while he released his hold on the blade he created which disappeared into thin air. I want you to teach it to me, dope. Demanded Sasuke in his arrogant tone. Naruto ignored it again, for now. Well, I'm not sure if it can be taught, Sasuke. As I said before, it is part of my mother's bloodline and is deeply tied into our DNA. According to my mother's records, she tried to teach it once to a friend of hers, but wasn't able to get it because they just can't gain total control of their chakra. She said on her scroll that normal shinobis gain control of their chakra through the use of hand seals to manipulate how they work. This is how jutsus work. In my clan, we can do anything with it without requiring the use of seals. PSK, she must have taught a loser then if she can't get it right. Scoffed Sasuke. Naruto's eyes glinted a bit at Sasuke's declaration. If that is how he wants to play, then it's time to bring down the Uchiha arrogance a few pegs. Naruto thought. Okay, Sasuke, there was no record of her teaching an Uchiha art technique, but maybe you would be the first to get it right. Even Sakura can join us if she wants. Challenged Naruto. Bring it on, dope. I can do this with my eyes closed. Declared Sasuke arrogantly. Gotcha, you bastard. Hook, line, and sinker. Naruto mentally crowed. Great. Let's get started then. The first part of the exercise that is practiced by all Uzumaki clan in chakra manipulation is to bring out your chakra to a visible spectrum. According to my mother's journal, she was able to complete this exercise when she was 3 years old. I got it after 5 months when I decided to learn it. Now, I want you to channel your chakra to your hand and try to bring it out. Make it visible to a solid state. Here, let me demonstrate. Naruto brought out his hand and focused a bit. Slowly, an aura of white chakra enveloped his hand, covering all of it down to the wrist. Sakura, I want you to touch the chakra on my hand and tell me if it is solid or not. Instructed Naruto. Sakura did as told and poked a finger at the visible chakra in Naruto's hand. She was surprised that it was solid. She ran her fingers from the wrist over to the fingers. Yep, it was definitely solid. Amazing. I've never seen solid chakra before. I'll be surprised if you did because chakra is supposed to be intangible in a sense. Only an Uzumaki clan can make a solid construct out of it. Now why don't you both try? All you need to do is to channel chakra to your hand as much as you can and force it to become solid. Don't worry about your chakra reserves. I brought some soldier pills with me in case you run out. And so they did. For the next hour, both Sakura and Sasuke tried with all of their might to release chakra to their hands and do what Naruto did to no avail. Both were getting frustrated while Naruto just watched them with amusement while showing off his skills in chakra manipulation. The solid construct in his hand turned to a sword, a knife, to kunai, to senbon, and even to a fan. He saw that his showing off was infuriating the Uchiha, but Sakura has this determined look in her eyes. After a few minutes, both quit the exercise, and Naruto handed them a pill each to replenish their reserves. So, how did it go? Hard, right? Is there no other way to teach it to others? It is pretty useful. Mused Sakura. Naruto thought about it for a while. It cannot be taught, but if a non-Uzumaki clan member follows the exercise, then there are some benefits you can get out of it. What is it? Asked Sasuke in an irritated voice. He was a bit mad that such a powerful technique cannot be learned by anyone, since it was a bloodline. He did try his best to do as Naruto instructed, but it seems that the dope was right that only an Uzumaki blood member can learn it. My guess, you would have an improved control over your chakra. Theoretically, it would make it easier for you to do various ninjutsu techniques or even increase your physical capabilities. There are a lot of possibilities if you have improved chakra control. One example here is Sakura. Me? Asked a surprised Sakura. Yes. Have you ever noticed that your strength is stronger than that of an average genin in the academy, despite your obvious lack of muscles and speed? You know, I never really thought of that. To be honest, I didn't really pay attention to it. Admitted Sakura, blushing at the last part. She was supposed to be the smartest kunoichi in their class, and she didn't even notice it. That is because you have an almost perfect chakra control. Because your control is so good, you subconsciously channel chakra every time you release a punch, thus increasing its overall strength. If you can gain control over such skill and convert it from passive to active, then who knows how stronger your attacks would become. How do you think I can do that? Asked an excited Sakura, almost bouncing from her seat over the prospect of getting stronger to make her Sasuke notice her more. Training, of course. You need to dish out hard work and training to get to that level. Remember, chakra will only enhance what already have. For example, if your current strength can decimate a tree with a single punch, imagine how powerful it would become if you use your chakra to enhance its effects. If I remember my history correctly, Tsunade of the Sannin has the same ability. He looked at the brooding Sasuke. Even you can do the same thing, Sasuke, if you apply the same concept. HMPH. I don't need to do those things. We Uchiha are already strong. Declared Sasuke in a haughty voice. Naruto suddenly got this sudden urge to strangle the arrogant teen in front of him. That is where you're wrong, Sasuke. Let me ask you a rhetorical question. Do you think I'm strong? Asked Naruto, hoping to get his point across and hopefully reach out to the arrogant boy. HNNNN was all Sasuke's reply. However, Sakura chose to answer for him. Well, from what you've shown in the academy, you are strong because of your bloodline. Admitted Sakura. You're wrong, Sakura. I didn't gain my strength and skill just because of my bloodline. Let me ask you this, out of all the years we spent together in the academy, when have you seen me use my bloodline, especially in spars? Sakura was stumped. Naruto was right. He didn't use his bloodline during their time in the academy. The spars were a testament to what he could do. The only time he used his bloodline was during the ninjutsu lesson and the match with Sasuke. Naruto saw the comprehension on Sakura's face and chose to answer for her. I think you got my point, Sakura. I didn't rely on my bloodline. Sure, I practiced with it a couple of times to improve my control over it, but I don't let it rule my life, you know. I train my body every day and was able to reach my current level through hard work. Having a bloodline alone doesn't make you special. I consider it as a tool to help me get stronger and survive. Other than that, I consider it a crutch if I depend too much on it. The Sharingan is one example of it. Sasuke got angry when he heard this. He rounded on the blonde teen. What? The Sharingan is not a crutch. It is the true strength of the Uchiha clan. It is what makes us powerful. Naruto sighed. Sasuke was just that hard-headed. Okay, let me ask you this, Sasuke. You don't have your Sharingan now, but you are Rookie of the Year in the academy. How did you reach that level? Simple, you trained yourself every day. I know your drive to defeat your brother and to avenge your clan, and you used that drive to get stronger. However, you are relying too much on your Sharingan or will rely on it too much when you awaken it in the future. Explain. Growled Sasuke. He didn't really like where this is going, but he wanted to know what the blonde's point was. Despite Sasuke's animosity, Naruto sensed that he is slowly getting through to the boy. Okay, let me give you a scenario, Sasuke. What if you meet a shinobi that is stronger than you and faster than you? Yeah, you have the Sharingan to help you see his movements, but what if your body is not strong enough to counter his attacks? Because you rely too much on your Sharingan, you neglect to train physically, thus now being able to reach your limit and improving yourself. This is also the same when you copy techniques using your family jutsu. Even if you got the schematics down, you still need to train with the jutsu you copied in order to master and use it fully. That is what I meant as a crutch. Seeing Sasuke was about to argue, but he raised his hands to tell him to be quiet. I'm not done yet. I even consider my bloodline as a crutch. If I rely too much on it, then how do you think I will improve? How can I use my bloodline well if my body is not up to the task? That is what I meant, that by overusing your bloodline, it will eventually become a roadblock that will surely hinder your growth as a shinobi. So what do you suggest, Dope? That I don't try to awaken my Sharingan? That I'm better off without it? Asked Sasuke heatedly, his anger getting the best of him. Calm down, Sasuke-san. I am not insulting you or your bloodline. You asked my opinion, so I just answered you. It's up to you to decide. I didn't say not to awaken your Sharingan, in fact, it would be your best interest to do so. But I just want to let you realize that even if you do awaken your Sharingan, the only path to get stronger than anyone, mind you, is to train your mind and body so you can use it effectively. He is right, you know. A voice interrupted their discussion. All three genins followed the voice and saw their sensei, Hada Kakashi, leaning against a tree directly to their right. As always, he looked bored and lazy. Kakashi arrived an hour ago but was content on listening to the three talking about Naruto's bloodline. He was shocked that Naruto was willing to teach his teammates despite their obvious dislike for him, and that made him respect the blonde all the more. Heck, he even tried the exercise that Naruto relayed to his teammates about chakra manipulation, and all he was able to do was bring out his chakra, but not turn it solid like what the exercise was supposed to do. If he, with his Jounin level skills, can't do that, then he was sure that the two wouldn't be able to get it. You're late. Shouted Sakura. He ignored Sakura's outburst and scratched the back of his head. Haha, I know, Sakura. Anyway, Naruto is right, Sasuke. If you want to become stronger, then you need to train harder. There is nothing wrong in using power, but you have to work your butts off if you want to get it. Similar to weapons and tools, even if you have a super sharp kunai, it wouldn't do you much good if you don't know how to use it properly. One example in your clan that was able to surpass everyone is your brother Uchiha Itachi. Don't you dare mention his name in front of me. Shouted Sasuke, jumping up. Hearing Itachi's name made his rage flow out of him in waves. Kakashi just looked at him, not intimidated in the least by the killer intent directed at him by the dark-haired Uchiha. I think I should, Sasuke. You need to hear what I have to say in order for you to understand Naruto's point and become a strong shinobi of Konoha. You see, Itachi and Naruto both have the same theory when it comes to bloodline. It can either be an asset or a crutch to a shinobi's life. Why do you think Itachi became the strongest at such a young age even among the standards of your clan? It wasn't because that he was a prodigy or because of the Sharingan. In fact, he told me when we were working together in Anbu that he didn't rely on the Sharingan during his training. He trained without it and keeps getting stronger in both mind and body. Did you know that he only used the Sharingan on stronger enemies just to gain an edge or as a last resort? Kakashi-sensei. How could you praise him like that? He murdered his entire family. Shouted Sakura. I know Sakura, but you can never deny the fact that Uchiha Itachi is the strongest out of the Uchihas during his generation. I don't condone his acts of murdering his clan, but I respect him as a strong shinobi. He looked at Sasuke. Sasuke here is the same way. He has the ability to become the strongest, even stronger than Itachi, if he only applied himself on the right path. He gave them a smile and beckoned all of them to follow him. Kakashi guided them to the training logs in one corner of the field. He pulled out an alarm clock and placed it on one of the stumps, along with 3 boxes of bento lunches, then faced his team. Okay guys. Now we are going to start your test to see if you're worthy to become Genins of Konoha. What I want all 3 of you to do is to take one of these bells in order to pass. The test ends when the alarm rings. He raised 2 bells and pointed to the clock he placed on the stump. All 3 Genins saw that there were only 2 bells, and there were 3 of them. Sakura was the one who voiced out the fact. But sensei, there are only 2 bells. Does this mean that only 2 of us can pass? Kakashi smiled. Correct Sakura. Only 2 of you will be able to pass, and the one who didn't get the bell will be going back for another year in the academy. But that's unfair. Complained the pink-haired girl. Who said life is fair, Sakura? Rebutted Kakashi. Naruto was confused over the whole test thing that Kakashi mentioned. There is something wrong with this exam and he can't put his finger on it. He decided to drop it for now and see what develops later on. He was interrupted from his thoughts when Kakashi continued. So any questions? No. Good. I want you all to come at me with everything you got. I want you to come at me with the intent to kill similar to facing an enemy shinobi. The test will start when I say go. So. Go. With that, Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke moved as fast as they could to the protection of the trees and hid their presence, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. They hid their presence well. Not really as good as I thought but good enough for Genins fresh out of the academy I suppose. Thought Kakashi. He was brought out of his musings when he sensed a presence behind him. He turned quickly and saw Naruto standing there with a confused look on his face. You know, there is something wrong with what you said earlier. Said Naruto in a calm voice. Oh? Do tell. Asked Kakashi while smiling at the blonde Genin. Could he have figured it out already? He added mentally. I can't put my finger on it, but I sense that there is some trick to this test. How perceptive of you. Will you tell me? No. Well, if that is the case then I'll just have to force it out of you. Declared Naruto. He settled into his taijutsu stance and lunged at Kakashi with great speed. He was able to cover the distance in a second and launched a clawed swipe towards his sensei's chest. Kakashi saw this as clear as day, so he stepped back to avoid the swipe. Naruto didn't let up, so he aimed a well-placed kick that would easily break Kakashi's ribs if it hit, but Kakashi was able to block it with ease with an arm. You're good Naruto but not good enough. Taunted Kakashi. Seeing that his attack didn't work, Naruto disengaged from his taijutsu attacked and jumped back a couple of feet away from his opponent. He stretched his right arm and 3 kunai slid out from his sleeve onto his hand. He threw the kunais at Kakashi who blocked it using his own. Kakashi was about to throw his own kunai at Naruto, but stopped when he heard a sizzling sound below him. He saw an explosive tag attached to the kunais that Naruto threw at him, and it was smoking. Shit. He cursed as he performed a quick shunshin behind Naruto before the tag exploded. Kakashi appeared behind Naruto and rushed at him with a kunai. Naruto felt his presence and immediately reacted by creating a chakra blade on his right hand and blocked Kakashi's swing. Metal and solid chakra met with a loud clang. Damn. That thing is solid. Kakashi thought. I guess he wasn't joking when he said that his bloodline can turn his chakra into something solid. Naruto pushed Kakashi back with a grunt, then took a horizontal swipe at Kakashi's stomach, which the Jounin was able to dodge by backflipping out of Naruto's range. Naruto didn't let up so he dashed forward and continued to release a barrage of swings and thrust in hopes to land a strategic hit to weaken his opponent, but Kakashi either dodged by swerving his body or blocking the attacks with his kunai. Unfortunately for Naruto, he overextended one of his thrusts that threw him off balance, which Kakashi took advantage of by placing a well-aimed kick to his chest with enough force to throw him back a couple of feet. Naruto was able to right himself and landed on the ground on a crouch, chakra blade already gone and one hand clutching his chest in pain. "Be strong," thought Naruto while massaging his stinging chest. "Not good enough, Naruto. You have to do better than that," taunted Kakashi, giving him a lazy smile. "I'm not done yet, Kakashi-sensei," shouted Naruto. He righted his stance, threw both his hands out, and created two chakra blades, one in each hand. Holy kami. He can make two of them. He shouldn't be a genin for crying out loud. He should be a chunin with the strength he's displaying. Ranted, shocked Kakashi. With both blades stretched out at his sides, he lunged forward towards his opponent and raised an overhand swing with his right blade which Kakashi easily blocked with his kunai. Seeing his chance, Naruto swung a low horizontal slash using his left blade, while Kakashi's kunai was busy fending off the other. Kakashi saw this and his eyes widened slightly. Naruto was able to land a hit, but before he can congratulate himself, Kakashi poofed into a log with a clean cut in the middle. Damn, he substituted himself. He could be anywhere. Naruto mentally ranted. Now where did he go? He looked around the field trying to get a sense on where his wayward sensei is hiding. He was caught unawares when two hands shot out of the ground below him and grabbed his ankles. He was yanked down hard into the ground which only left his head sticking out. Kakashi jumped out of the earth in front of him and gave him a smile. "You are underestimating me, Naruto. You're good but not that good." Naruto smirked and activated his Kamigen. His elemental orbs immediately materialized on top of him. The fire orb released a stream of red-hot flames towards Kakashi, who was able to dodge it by jumping to the right. Seeing his chance, Naruto used his control over the earth orb to loosen the earth around him, enough for him to jump out with ease. "It's not over yet, Kakashi-sensei." Shaking the bits of earth that clung to his clothes. He deactivated his Kamigen and threw a shuriken at Kakashi while doing some hand seals as it flew. Ninja art shuriken shadow clone. Kakashi's eyes widened some more when the single shuriken turned into 50 and was heading straight for him. Running out of options, he went through a couple of hand seals himself, then spat out a torrent of mud from his mouth which hardened into a thick wall of earth. Earth-style mud wall. Kakashi's technique easily shielded him from the barrage of shuriken. Naruto saw his chance while Kakashi was temporarily blinded by the wall he created. He willed out his chakra blades again and dashed forward. He channeled a bit of chakra to his feet and climbed the height of Kakashi's wall before jumping off, which brought him to a perfect attack position from above. With a loud yell, he swung his blades down hard, intent to incapacitate his sensei and retrieve a bell. Kakashi heard the yell from above and his eyes widened again when he saw Naruto was about to give him a two-sword slash. He hastily brought out two kunes from his pouch and channeled some chakra into it before intercepting the attack. The strength of the blow was enough to create a mini shockwave that displaced the dust around the two combatants. Not wanting to be outdone, Kakashi channeled chakra to his muscles and deftly pushed the blonde genin off him and threw him to the air. He bent down, one hand on the ground, and released a vertical upward kick with his body stretched out that hit Naruto straight in the chest. What caught him unaware was when Naruto burst into smoke when the kick met its mark. Damn, that was a shadow clone. He could be anywhere, thought Kakashi. He looked around the field and tensed for an attack. When none came, he decided to hunt the rest of Team 7 and bring them down before they pull a one-up on him. Naruto was observing the fight between Kakashi and his clone on the field below. He replaced himself with his clone earlier when he was kicked by Kakashi early in their battle. Good thing I made some clones beforehand, Naruto thought. The memory of that kick made him wince. I guess I made him go all out there. When he saw Kakashi dash into the trees, he was immediately on alert. It seems that his attack made Kakashi decide to pick them off one by one. If that is the case, then there is definitely a reason behind this test and it still eluded him. Deciding to think about it later, he closed his eyes and released a pulse of chakra along the training field. The technique was called chakra sonar, which Kyuubi taught him during his one-year training before the academy. It was a necessity for Kyuubi to have such a technique considering that his enemies were the size of ants, so having a pulse of chakra to scour the battlefield and return a few pulses to tell him of their position was a good strategy against multiple foes. Naruto got a pulse from his chakra sonar, telling him that Sakura was a few hundred meters to his left. Oddly enough, Sasuke was in the same location as well, but from the pulse he got, it seems that Sasuke hid his presence from Sakura. He shook his head, then headed off to Sakura's location. Sakura immediately hid herself when her sensei gave the signal. Her initial goal was to go with Sasuke and discuss with him how to take the bells, leaving Naruto in the dust. However, her plan failed when her idol disappeared to another location with no idea how to find him. She hid himself behind the bush and checked out the clearing to find Naruto preparing to battle Kakashi. Baka. He won't stand a chance, she thought. However, her initial assumption over the blonde's defeat was thrown out of the loop when said blonde was holding his own against Kakashi. She knew that his teammate was skilled, but what she saw in the battle definitely made her jaw drop. How can he fight Kakashi-sensei with such skills? She asked herself, unable to believe that Naruto was hiding such strength even during the academy. I bet Sasuke is better. Her jaw further dropped when she saw that the shuriken Naruto threw multiplied, which forced Kakashi to resort to ninjutsu to protect himself and ran up the wall that Kakashi created to almost land a hit on their sensei with an overhand strike. She became smug when her sensei was able to do an acrobatic kick that hit the blonde in midair, but was shocked when Naruto disappeared in smoke. The one thing in her head was how Naruto could pull of those techniques as if it was nothing. She was brought out of her musings when Kakashi appeared beside her giving her an eye smile. Yo Sakura. Found you. He said in a cheerful voice before he disappeared in a swirl of leaves. When her vision cleared, she saw Sasuke's bleeding form in front of her with his eyes wide and unseeing. He was dead. She did the only thing that a rational mind was capable of. She screamed then fainted. Sasuke was angry. No, he was downright furious at what he was seeing down in the clearing. Naruto was holding his own against a jounin with practiced ease. What made him angrier was that the blonde was throwing out techniques after techniques that he didn't know. It was making him angry. He shouldn't have that power. It should be mine. I needed to defeat Itachi. He saw Naruto disappear in a puff of smoke and Kakashi moving into the trees. It wasn't his time to attack, he needed to be patient and wait for the opportune moment to strike. He was brought out of his concentration when he heard Sakura scream from behind him. I guess Kakashi got to her. Useless fangirl. When the scream died, he focused his senses again. He saw Kakashi walk out of the trees with a smug look on his face. The jounin walked to the middle of the field and brought out an orange book from his pocket and relaxed. He saw his chance. Now's my chance while he has his guard down, thought Sasuke. He pulled out 8 kunes, 4 in each hand, and threw them towards his sensei from his position. He was exalted when his attack connected but was shocked when Kakashi disappeared in a puff of smoke to be replaced by a log. Shit, he knows my position now. He was right when Kakashi suddenly appeared on top of him giving him his patented eye smile. Hello Sasuke. Damn it. Cursed Sasuke. He scrambled out from his position as fast as he could and headed straight for the clearing in the center of the training ground. When he got there, he saw Kakashi waiting for him leaning in one of the training logs reading his orange book. Not a well-thought strategy there, Sasuke-kun. You gave away your position to me quite easily. Taunted Kakashi in a lazy voice which infuriated Sasuke. Not seeing any alternative, Sasuke threw a kunai at his sensei, hoping to distract him while dashing forward behind the projectile to engage him in a taijutsu attack. Kakashi easily saw the attack and dodged it by tilting his head to the side, allowing the projectile to harmlessly pass by without pausing from his reading. Sasuke lashed out with a punch, but Kakashi blocked it with his free hand, which he moved up to block the kick towards his head. Sasuke released punches and kicks which was easily blocked or dodged by Kakashi until his kick overextended, which Kakashi capitalized by grabbing his ankles, twisted his body, then threw him away. Sasuke seethed that his attacks didn't even faze the lazy jounin and was surprised when he was grabbed by the ankle and thrown away. He righted his position and went through a set of seals before puffing out his chest. Fire-style Grand Fireball. Sasuke released his jutsu and breathed out a huge fireball careening towards his sensei. Kakashi's eyes widened at the sight of the huge fireball threatening to roast him alive. Shit. What are these kids? They shouldn't be genins if they can pull out techniques out of their ass like this. They should be chunins for Kami's sake. He mentally complained while jumping out the fireball's trajectory to avoid getting barbecued. He was brought out of his musings when a barrage of kunes and shurikens came from his left. He replaced himself with a log that took the attack. Sasuke saw Kakashi replace himself with a log after his projectile attack, then rushed forward at an increased speed and aimed a kick to the face. Seeing no choice, Kakashi dropped his orange book to the ground and crossed both of his hands in front of his face, which effectively blocked the attack. When he brought his hands down, he saw another large fireball heading straight for him, so he dashed back to get away from the blast zone, but he saw something that made his blood run cold. His book. He reached out trying to save his precious book when a fireball crashed on it, effectively turning it into ash. Ooh. My precious book. He mentally cried. He raised his head and looked at Sasuke with a vengeful glint in his eyes. I will avenge you, my precious. He breezed through a series of hand seals as fast as the eyes could see and released the same fireball, only twice as big, that Sasuke used to burn his precious book. Fire-style Grand Fireball. Sasuke froze when Kakashi leveled him an intense glare that sent shivers down his spine. When he saw Kakashi went through a familiar hand seal and released a fireball bigger than his own, he tried to jump out of the way, but the killer intent that Kakashi released earlier rooted him on the spot. He saw the fireball getting closer and closer, as if in slow motion, and raised his hands, as if hoping that it would protect him from the attack. Fortunately for him, the attack didn't reach him when a wall of water appeared in front of him, took the force of the fiery projectile, and snuffed it out, releasing steam in the process. When he dropped his hands, he saw Naruto in front of him with his elemental orb spinning around him. "Sasuke, snap out of it. We need to regroup," snapped Naruto while eyes still glued on Kakashi's furious form. "What in the world did you do to him to get him so mad?" asked the blonde. "Shut up, dope. I don't need your help," grunted Sasuke while shaking off the fear that gripped him earlier. He wouldn't admit it out loud, but he was thankful for the blonde assistance that protected him from being barbecued to a crisp. "Well, from what happened to you just now, I think you definitely needed my help, unless you want to become a burnt piece of meat, of course," said Naruto jovially. "Get out of here, dope. I'll take care of him on my own. Listen here, Sasuke. No matter what we do, there is no hope we can take him one by one. He is a freaking jounin for a reason. We need to regroup and plan out a strategy. I already saved Sakura, so we need to go now," demanded Naruto, shouting out the last part to get Sasuke's attention. Sasuke was about to say something, but was cut off when Naruto grabbed him by the shoulder and teleported them out of the clearing in a burst of flame, leaving Kakashi to mourn for his lost book. Naruto and Sasuke appeared at the opposite side of the training ground 7 in a burst of flame that startled Sakura. Upon arrival, Sasuke immediately shrugged Naruto's hand off his shoulder and rounded on him. "Why did you do that? I could take him by myself." Naruto just gave him an incredulous look. "If you don't remember, I saved you back there. If you want, I can bring you back there right now and let Kakashi barbecue you again," dared Naruto. Sasuke closed his mouth with an audible snap and gritted his teeth. He was about to say something when he was interrupted by Sakura. "Stop it, you two. He is right, Sasuke-kun, there is no way for us to beat Kakashi-sensei alone. This is not the time to bicker." Sasuke rounded on Sakura, giving her a glare which she shrunk back from. "What are you doing here?" Sakura looked down, depressed that her crush was treating her like trash. "Kakashi-sensei trapped me in a genjutsu, but Naruto saved me and brought me here. He said he will get you so we can formulate a plan to get the bells," mumbled Sakura. Sasuke looked livid. "There is no way for that to happen. There are 2 bells and I'm going to get one by myself," declared Sasuke, preparing to leave the cover of the forest to confront their sensei again. He was stopped when a wall of earth blocked his path. He was about to jump over it but was held in place when his feet were covered with earth, effectively stopping him in his place. He twisted his body to see Naruto with his bloodline active, his elemental orb spinning around him in a threatening manner. It was an intimidating sight, especially the stern glare that Naruto is leveling upon him. There was something about those eyes that gave him the shiver. "Stop right there, Sasuke. Me and Sakura already figured out the test. If you want to pass, then you better get that stick out of your ass and listen," growled Naruto. There was no way that Sasuke's arrogance is going to make him fail this test. By hook or by crook, he is going to make the Uchiha see reason, even if he has to drag him on the ground to do it. Sasuke was shocked. Naruto never took that tone with him before, and the threat was clear. The mild-mannered Naruto disappeared, and on its wake is a powerful figure that demands his attention. Even his Kamagen was an intimidating sight. He swallowed his pride, for now, and nodded. Naruto saw the quick change in Sasuke's demeanor, so he released the bindings of earth, then started to speak. "Good. Now, I found out the true meaning of Kakashi's test. But Kakashi said the only way to pass is for us to get the bells," stuttered Sakura. She still hasn't recovered from the shout and glare that Sasuke leveled on her. This was a different Sasuke, different from the one she admired from the academy. She hadn't seen him this angry before, and it was an experience that shook her down to her very bones. Sasuke piped in, adding his 2 cents. "She's right, dope, and with only 2 bells, there is no way for 3 of us to pass." Naruto nodded. "Correct, but there are 2 things that both of you forgot from Iruka's lessons back in the academy. 1, since the conception of the village, it has always been a 4-man cell, 1 jounin sensei and 3 genins, and 2, you both forgot that shinobis are well known for their deception." "So?" said an irritated Sasuke. "So," Kakashi sensei lied. "Everything he told us reflects the test. 1, he commanded us not to eat breakfast because he wants to weaken our mental strength through hunger. 2, there are only 2 bells which he is using to try to sow dissension among us, making us fight each other for the bells. Now try to compare that to what Iruka taught us back in the academy. It's either Iruka lied to a bunch of potential future genins of Konoha, or Kakashi is lying to make us fail his test. Take your pick," explained Naruto. Both Sakura and Sasuke were shocked over the deception involved in a simple test. They can't argue with the fact that the blonde was right in everything. If this is the case, then. "So this means that for us to pass, we need to work together. As a team. Right?" asked Sakura. Correct, even if we get the 2 bells, he will be forced to pass all 3 of us if he intends to follow the rules. And if memory serves me right, there is no way he can disregard a village law when it comes to these things. So what now? Asked Sasuke, wanting to get this show on the road. He would never admit it, but he was never a strategist. He may be a prodigy, but he prefers charging head-on and fight in a straightforward fashion. Naruto gave the 2 an evil smirk that scared the crap out of his teammates. This is what we are going to do. Kakashi was waiting for his genin team to attack him. He was currently sitting down on one of the logs in the clearing reading his orange book. Well, it was another copy of his book. Since Sasuke destroyed the one he brought along, he have to do a quick stop to one of the bookstores in the village so he can get another copy. After all, he hasn't finished reading his precious yet. He was still mad at the Uchiha for destroying his old precious, and he will pay. Yes, he will pay. He released a mental cackle that would easily put Kyuubi's to shame. He was brought out of his mental tirade when Sasuke and Naruto burst out from the bushes heading straight for him. He released a mental smile at this. It seems that they are getting the point of the whole test. Sasuke burst out of the bushes with Naruto trailing behind him with his Kamagen activated. Their plan was quite simple: overwhelm Kakashi using direct attacks from Sasuke and elemental barrage from Naruto, as well as protect him from Kakashi's jutsus if possible. Sakura would lie in wait either to attack or take the opportunity of a distracted Kakashi to steal the bells. Handling chakra to his legs, courtesy of Naruto's advice while they were planning out their strategy, he sped at a sudden burst off speed that surprised Kakashi and lashed out with a chakra-enhanced punch that the Jounin blocked. Kakashi winced when the hit connected with his arm. Shit, his attacks are stronger. How in the world did that happen? Sasuke smirked seeing Kakashi wince from the attack. It seems that Naruto's advice was working. The dope was right. My attacks are stronger if I channel chakra through my arms. He thought. He would never admit it, but Naruto was knowledgeable when it comes to chakra. He made a mental note to demand. Ask the dope in the future. Pressing his advantage, Sasuke continued releasing a barrage of punches and kicks, this time to hurt Kakashi to keep him distracted. It seems that Kakashi learned his lesson. Instead of blocking, he was now dodging Sasuke's chakra-enhanced punches in desperation. Who could blame him? Those actually hurt. Kakashi, seeing that determined look in Sasuke's eyes, lashed out with his own chakra-enhanced kick that threw dark-haired boy away from him. If he continued to dodge, then one might get through and it would be detrimental to his health even if he blocked it. Seeing that it is time to throw the kid's glove off, he went through a couple of seals and released his attacks. Wind-style air bullet. 3 compressed balls of air flew from Kakashi's mouth and went straight toward Sasuke. It wasn't that powerful, but it had enough chakra to knock him out. He missed the smirk that crossed Sasuke's face when a wall of earth seemed to shoot out in front of the ground in front of the crouching Uchiha that effectively protected him from the attack. Naruto was ready when their sensei released his wind attack towards Sasuke. Sending his will towards his elemental orbs, a wall of earth shot out in front of Sasuke that prevented the wind attack from connecting. Pressing his advantage, he fired a medium-powered water bullet from his water orb that flew towards the Jounin. Kakashi dodged the water projectile and cursed his predicament. Their teamwork was flawless and easily kept him on his toes. He was wondering where Sakura was and his role in the team, but was cut off from his musings when he saw Sasuke jump over the wall that Naruto created and landed a powerful axe kick aimed at his head. He blocked it by crossing his hands over his head, but the strength of the chakra-enhanced kick, as well as the gravity involved, made his knees tremble. Damn, these kids aren't playing around. His mental rambling was cut off when something impacted him in the stomach, a ball of compressed air similar to his own attack, courtesy of a smirking Naruto. Seeing their advantage, Naruto decided to take the next phase of the plan. Now Sasuke. He shouted to his teammate. Sasuke nodded and went through a familiar set of seals and bellowed out his attack. Fire-style Grand Fireball. When the attack materialized, Naruto released his own ball of wind and directed it at Sasuke's fireball. Instead of destroying it, the fireball and wind ball combined to create a roaring inferno of superheated flames, making its way towards a shocked Kakashi. Holy kami. They combined their attacks. That fireball is now easily S rank. Damn it, these kids aren't normal. Should I have to disable Naruto now and take care of Sasuke afterwards? Kakashi mentally ranted. He teleported out of the way just before the fireball hit the ground he was standing on. The impact caused a massive shockwave that rocked the trees in the training ground and everyone felt the intense heat that came from it. He appeared behind Naruto holding a kunai, easily bypassing his defense. Surrender now, Naruto. Kakashi commanded. Hearing Kakashi's command to surrender, he smirked at the Jounin missed since he was standing behind him. I don't think so, Kakashi-sensei. Said Naruto in a playful voice, then poofed out of existence. Shit. Shadow clone. He cursed, then he heard something that made his skin crawl. He looked down to the ground and saw that it was littered with dozens of exploding tags. Double shit. He shined again before the tags exploded, blowing dust everywhere. Kakashi appeared a few feet away behind Sasuke. He was about to disable the said teen, but he found himself unable to move. He looked down and saw that his feet and legs were encased in rocks that easily locked him in place. He was about to do another jutsu, but his hand suddenly snapped to his side as wires suddenly wrapped him tight. While he was distracted, Sakura shot out of the bushes behind him and slashed at Kakashi's waist with her kunai, easily cutting off the bells from his belt, and ran away to her teammates. Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto were looking at him with huge grins on their faces, well except Sasuke, who just shot him an arrogant smirk. Kakashi sighed. He was outwitted by rookie genins. This won't look good on his resume. He looked at his team and gave them a smile. Okay, you got me. The test is over since you already got the bell. Naruto, Sasuke, release me so we can proceed. Instructed Kakashi. Naruto willed the rocks on Kakashi's legs to fall back to the ground and created a wind blade to cut the wires off. So Kakashi-sensei, what's the verdict? Asked Naruto, smile not leaving his face. Well, Sakura got the bells. So Sakura, who do you want to pass, Sasuke or Naruto? Asked Kakashi, hoping to test if they really got the reason for the test. This team has big potential and wouldn't want to fail them over a technicality. Sakura just grinned and tossed one bell to Naruto and the other to Sasuke, which both caught easily. I will give them the bell, sensei, so they can pass. Are you sure? Prodded Kakashi. Yes, sensei. I'm sure. Insisted Sakura, smirk not leaving her face. Kakashi sighed and looked at his new team. Okay then. This means. You pass. Chapter 13 Being Genins. It has been 3 days since they took Kakashi's test and became the new Team 7 of Konohagakure no Sado. Naruto was happy to say the least, but not everything was going according to plan. For starters, the brief teamwork they had during the test was now a memory. Sakura was starting to look up to him, though most of her attention is still with her infatuation with Sasuke, but what depressed Naruto is that everything he ever did to bring Sasuke out of his funk went straight into the trash bin. Ever since he taught both Sasuke the chakra trick, the teen has been so obsessed in learning everything that Naruto knows. The alibi of clan techniques didn't even faze the young Uchiha. In fact, he keeps pestering him that he was an elite Uchiha, so he should be happy to share all of his techniques with him. That was the time that Naruto's restraint over his temper loosened and Sasuke found out the hard way not to push when things aren't supposed to be pushed. He hoped that being blown away by a high-powered wind technique and crashing body first into the river should teach him a lesson. Hope being the keyword. What amazed him, however, was Sakura not giving him an earful when doing that to her precious Sasuke-kun. That was a big improvement on her part. It was a small step, but a step nonetheless towards improvement. After the test, Kakashi gave them a brief lecture about teamwork. He brought them over to the memorial stone and explained its significance. It seems that their sensei's motto was centered around teamwork. Those who abandon their mission are trash, but those who abandon their teammates are worse than trash. In truth, Naruto found that he liked the belief and swore to himself to follow it till his dying days. Kakashi also gave them a brief lecture about their strengths and weakness. He first started with Sakura's fangirl tendency and how it would be detrimental to her health if she continued to do so. It affected her somewhat, as Naruto could tell, especially when she remembered what Sasuke did to her back in Training Ground 7, but it seems that her adoration for the dark-haired Avenger was too strong. He guessed that it would take a life-changing experience to get that thought out of her head. Sasuke's evaluation went smoothly at first. Kakashi told him about his major strength being ninjutsu and taijutsu due to his training in clan techniques. He also mentioned that his temper and short-sightedness is not befitting of a ninja and it would get him in trouble. He advised him to learn about strategy in order to improve. However, it went straight down to hell when Kakashi mentioned Itachi again during the evaluation. Word of caution, never ever mention Itachi within Sasuke's hearing range if you want him to cooperate. It took a right hook and a blast of killer intent from their sensei before Sasuke went back to his usual brooding self. When it came to him, however, Kakashi's evaluation was mostly basic. He observed that Naruto wouldn't need any jutsu since his Kamagen and elemental orbs were versatile in terms of attack and defense. The only advice he gave, that Naruto was thankful for, is to increase his overall speed and strength since there are other shinobis out there that could easily bring him down in that category alone. Naruto was thinking if he should tell Kakashi that he was wearing weight when they fought. He also promised Naruto to let him meet some of his friends who are well-known kinjutsu masters. This made the blonde genin giddy at the thought. At the end of the evaluation, Kakashi proudly announced them as the new Team 7 and they should meet again in 3 days for both mission and training. When Sakura asked why the hiatus, Kakashi explained that he is going to use the break to come up with a training guide for each of them. Naruto was suspicious about the reason and thought that Kakashi just want to spend some time alone with his book. Time skipped 3 days after passing Genin test. Naruto woke up early for his meeting with the rest of the team in Training Ground 7. There's still 3 hours before the scheduled meeting, but he want to go there early so he can get in some of his training routine done. He didn't want to slack off, especially now that he needs to improve since missions are around the corner. He ate a hearty breakfast that his clone prepared before taking a leisurely jog towards the training ground to warm him up. He saw that he was alone when he got there, so he ran some laps around the training ground as well as did some push-ups and sit-ups. While he was doing said routine, he struck up a conversation with his tenant. "Hey Kyuubi, you awake?" he mentally shouted. A loud sleepy growl echoed in the corridors of his mind. "Shut up. Why do you have to be so loud so early in the morning? Someone's trying to sleep here, you know." Kyuubi grouched. He noticed that the fox wasn't a morning person or fox, but Naruto still did the same thing every day just to aggravate him. "Sorry about that, Kyuubi. Just want to ask you something." Apologized Naruto, though not sounding apologetic at all. "You were going to ask me if you can up your weights, right?" growled Kyuubi. Naruto got a mental image of the fox cleaning himself up using his tongue. Naruto shuddered at the image. "How did you know?" I'm in your head, dummy. You've been thinking about that for 3 days now, so of course I know about it. And the answer to your question is no. I want you to maintain that weight for 2 more months so you won't be short for life." Naruto took offense at that. "Hey. I'm not short," shouted Naruto, insulted at the thought of being told that he was short. "Stop shouting, you imbecile," growled Kyuubi in a menacing voice. "Sorry," mumbled Naruto. "Still, I'm not short." Kyuubi just rolled his eyes at his container's sensitivity regarding his height. "Fine. But my order still stands. No increasing your weight for the next 2 months. Remind me again after, then we will talk about it." With that, Kyuubi cut off the mental link with his container. Naruto grumbled about stingy foxes as he continued with his morning exercise. After the last set, Naruto stood up and shook his body a bit to loosen up his muscles before he brought out Kazuhime. He has been neglecting his prized sword in favor of practicing his 2-sword style with his chakra blades. Channeling a bit of chakra to his tiger tattoo, the sword appeared in his hands with a small puff of smoke. He gripped the sword with his 2 hands and went into his clan's Kenjutsu kata, flowing from one form to the other like water. Kazuhime hummed in approval. He decided to stop his Kenjutsu training after an hour and returned Kazuhime back to his tattoo, but he channeled a bit more chakra to it, calling out his favorite training partners. A poof of smoke later, 3 medium-sized tigers, similar to Kazutora's height, appeared in front of him. The 3 tigers were Naruto's favorite training regimen. These 3 were known in their clan for their teamwork, and Naruto used them to practice his dodging speed and reaction time. After all, who wouldn't want to dodge the sharp claws that these tigers have? Big paws equal big claws, and the description alone is enough to give Naruto the incentive to dodge for his life. Naruto greeted the 3 majestic summon in front of him. "Hi guys. Ready for some training?" "Ready as always, Naruto-sama." All 3 greeted back in perfect unison. Naruto mused that their speech also is part of their legendary teamwork. Naruto rolled his eyes. Ever since he met these 3, he's been trying hard to tell them to remove the sama from their greeting, but they wouldn't budge. He wouldn't give up though. "How many times have I told you guys not to do that?" said Naruto irritably. One of the tigers, the lone female in the group, just cocked her head to the right and gave him an overly innocent look which looked really suspicious to Naruto. "Not to do what, Naruto-sama?" The other 2 tigers just gave him a fang-filled grin. Naruto just gave up. He threw his hands in the air and gave the innocent-looking tigers a mock glare. "You know what, never mind. Can we start training now?" After a nod from the 3 summons, they jumped into position surrounding Naruto and attacked. Naruto was caught off guard by the sudden attack, but immediately got his bearings, then started to dodge. He swerved, ducked, jumped, and rolled to avoid the claws and fangs of each tiger, but some of them he barely avoided, which shredded parts of his robe. He was sure that they won't kill him, but it was part of their deal to give at least a little bit of hurt as an added incentive. Naruto and the 3 summons that he dubbed as the training tigers were enjoying their romp when a loud scream made them tense and alert for a possible attack. They looked at the direction of the scream and saw Sakura looking at them pale as a sheet. "Naruto baka. Get away from them. They're going to eat you," shouted Sakura, who was slowly pulling out a kunai to protect herself just in case if they attack her. The female tiger that just gave her an incredulous look and snorted. "Please, I have better taste, you know." "Hey!" shouted an indignant Naruto. He didn't fancy getting eaten, of course, but the idea that he tastes bad didn't sit well with the blonde genin. The 2 male tigers were snickering, but chose to shut up and gave him an innocent look when Naruto shot them a withering glare, though you could still see the mirth dancing in their eyes, despite the obvious fake facade. Sakura was looking wide-eyed at the talking tiger. From the looks of it, she was about to either faint or bolt. Sakura, are you okay?" asked a concerned Naruto. Sakura just shot him an incredulous look. "You're asking me if I'm okay? I should be asking you if you're okay. You're being attacked by 3 huge tigers." Sakura, I'm not being attacked," defended Naruto. His defense was a bit off since his robe looks as if it came out of a war zone. The training tigers were just listening to the conversation with an amused look. Sakura was about to burst when Naruto clamped his hand over her mouth to shut her up. "Calm down, okay? Let me explain. Use your head for once. If they were dangerous, then do you think that they should have attacked us by now?" He jerked his hand over to the tigers behind him to prove his point. "If they are not attacking you, then what were they doing making you look like that?" asked a skeptic Sakura as she pointed the state of his clothes. "It's not every day that you see your teammates almost getting mauled by 3 huge tigers." If he is not being attacked, she couldn't think of any other reason why they were doing what they just did in the first place. "Training Sakura, training. Those 3 are my friends. I call them my training tigers. Of course, they are tiger summons," Naruto informed her. "Wait, I thought you already have those bird thingies as summons," said Sakura. The tiger snickered at hearing the legendary Phoenix clan being called bird thingies. "Bakari isn't a bird thingy. She is a phoenix from the Phoenix clan," said Naruto indignantly. "Well, they are birds, but it is not polite to call them bird thingies. And to answer your question, yes, they are also my summons. Actually I have 3." He turned his back to an incredulous Sakura and faced the 3 snickering summons. He gave them a glare. "Okay, that is enough for today, guys. I'll summon you next time for another round of dodge training. Thanks." The tigers bowed, releasing another round of snickers before returning back to their realm. He looked back at Sakura and saw that she calmed down a bit when the tigers left. "So, why are you here? It's still an hour early before we are supposed to meet our sensei." Sakura looked embarrassed and looked down. I was kinda hoping to come early to ask you something." Naruto gave her a curious look. Sakura came here early to ask him something. Now this he got to hear. He took off his torn robe and sealed it on the storage seal on his left arm for repairs later when he gets home. "So, what do you want to talk to me about?" said Naruto as he flopped down on the grass. I was wondering if you can help me to get strong," mumbled Sakura as she flopped down in front of Naruto, who just gave her a long calculating look. "I can help you." Naruto trailed off. Sakura perked up a bit. "But you have to tell me why you want to be strong." I want to be strong so that Sasuke-kun would notice me," whispered Sakura. Naruto shook his head at her answer. "No, Sakura. I won't help you if that is your goal," sighed Naruto. "Why? You're strong and the advice you gave us during the test helped us out. Why won't you help your teammates?" said Sakura, who was near to tears. Naruto just gave her a calm look. "Because Sakura, your motivation to become strong is not what a kunoichi should be thinking. In fact, your motivation will only pull you down in the end. I can guarantee it. I will help you only if you can tell me a good reason for me to do so. I will also tell Sasuke the same thing if he asks me for help." He rose from the ground and dusted his pants. "Think about it, Sakura. I'll leave you for now, I'll be back in time for our meeting." Without another words, he disappeared in a burst of flame, leaving a teary-eyed Sakura in his wake. Naruto arrived exactly on time for the meeting, but noticed that everyone was there except for Kakashi. He greeted a brooding Sasuke and a fawning Sakura. He shook his head. It seems that his advice to her fell on deaf ears. Kakashi arrived an hour later where Sakura again screeched at his lateness, which he ignored easily. He beckoned the team to come closer and tossed each of them a scroll. He told them that each of those scrolls contained their training regimen every day before they go to missions. Naruto opened up his scroll and what he saw didn't impress him. He was supposed to wear weights, which he already did. The assigned weights were measly 20 pounds on both hands and ankles while doing laps around the training field. He didn't know what the others got for their training regimen, but he didn't care. He told Kakashi that he will take care of the weights tomorrow and proceeded with the exercises stated on the scroll, which consisted of running laps, push-ups, sit-ups, and the usual. Kakashi called the training to a halt and directed them all to go to the Hokage Tower for missions. Time skipped to month later. Naruto was getting tired of his team real fast. True, Team 7 have great potential, but if the current team camaraderie doesn't improve soon, then he would have to take drastic measures. Sasuke was still as antisocial as ever and refused to participate in team exercises despite Kakashi's urging. Sakura was, well, Sakura. It was obvious that she already forgot what they talked about a month back and continued to fawn over the Uchiha. What infuriated him the most was Hada Kakashi, their Jounin sensei. His preaching of equality and treating the team with importance seems to be just that. Preaching. It was obvious during the training session with the team that he was focusing all his attention on the elite Uchiha. He and Sakura were left alone during their training exercise, while Kakashi and Sasuke moved to the woods for their training session. Naruto summoned one of the smallest phoenix at his disposal to keep an eye on them, and the report he got was not amusing. It seems that Kakashi was training Sasuke in various ninjutsu and taijutsu styles unlike his owner Sakura's. It was irksome that Kakashi was showing blatant favoritism within their team. He wasn't really concerned about his own training regimen since he have always been on his own with the resources he have back at home, but it wasn't fair that he was leaving Sakura on her own devices without any advice or guidance. His respect for their sensei dropped a few pegs after that. Also, the missions weren't spectacular for his taste. In fact, he wouldn't call them missions even if his life depended on it. They were more along the line of chores than anything else. Sure, he have known since the academy days that D-rank missions were chores around the village, but knowing it and doing it are two different things. His hated mission was catching the daimyo's cat, Tora. They are assigned to catch the damn cat 3 times a week. It was fine for the first week, but a month of doing the same thing over and over again was making his patience run thin. He almost gave in to Kyuubi's idea of roasting the damn cat during said missions. Oh, how he should have barbecued that demonic feline to get this over and done with. Speaking of training, he discarded Kakashi's training exercise every morning through an ingenious use of shadow clones. He would go and meet his team and wait for Kakashi to leave them to their own devices. He would go into the woods, create a shadow clone, hand him the scroll that Kakashi gave him, then teleport back to his house for real training. He accomplished a lot on his own. For starters, he was able to improve his Fuinjutsu studies by advancing to trap seals. He made 2 types of trap seals that stores projectiles and fires them when chakra is pumped into it. He made 2 kinds, one that fires in one direction that is definitely useful when facing an opponent, and the other follows the theory of real traps when triggered. Kunaser shurikens would be shot at different directions until it runs out. He also trained with 3 summons. He was able to come up with various attacks and strategies that involved his tiger, dragons, and phoenix summons. He would be using his tiger summons for direct attacks and ambushes. Dragons are for overkill scenarios that requires mass damage. His Phoenix summon is used for aerial attacks and defense, and of course, they are quite useful to get from one place to the other. His Kenjutsu training was also coming along well. He waited for Kakashi to introduce him to the masters he was talking about, but after 2 weeks of waiting, he went to the Hokage to ask for possible Kenjutsu sparring partners. He was introduced immediately to Gekko Hade, who agreed to teach and spar with Naruto an hour before dinner for 2 hours. Due to his sickness, he was given leeway regarding his duties in the village so he can spend some time with Naruto. In 1.5 months of sparring and lessons, Naruto's single and double sword style are now at intermediate level with a lot of room for improvement. During his time with Hade, he also met his girlfriend, Yuzuki Yuigao, who was drooling over Kazuhime when he showed it to her. With her addition to the group, Naruto gained experience in fighting 2 sword-wielding opponents at the same time. His session with them always left him with a lot of cuts and bruises, but the experience he gained from them was worth every bloody spill during spars. He learned one important lesson though during his spar with the Kenjutsu mistress. Never tell her that she is fat or else. The beating he got afterward sent shivers down his spine. Even Kyuubi quailed a bit at the memory. Last, but not the least, he improved his chakra manipulation to the point of increasing the speed in creating weapons out of his chakra. He can now produce any weapons he desired in less than a second, a great surprise attack if used properly. Also, he improved his ultimate attack, the elemental drill. He was able to decrease the chakra consumption of the technique by making each elemental stream a little thinner through compression, increasing their overall power and intensity, making the attack fast and more powerful by allowing it be focused at a single point instead of scattering the damage. The success was marked when his attack was able to easily pierce a 20 feet thick earth wall, along with the trees behind it. Team 7 entered the Hokage office for another batch of D-rank mission. When the team entered, they saw teammate with Jounin Sensei Yuuhi Kurenai, a red-faced Yumi no Ruka, and an amused Hokage. The scene was quite amusing to say the least. The livid Kiba was in front of an amused Hokage demanding better missions while Akamaru, Kiba's partner, was supporting his master with barks and yips. Kurenai was giving Kiba a look that promised a lot of pain later on. Hinata was looking down, twirling her fingers in embarrassment, and Shino. Well. Shino was still his usual stoic self. No surprise there. Sarutobi saw Team 7 come into the room and raised his hand that effectively shut Kiba up. Ah, Team 7, what brings you here? Another mission I presume? Yes, Hokage-sama. Team 7 would like to request a possible C-rank mission since we already reached the quota of D ranks for it. Requested Kakashi in a formal voice. This shocked the rest of Team 7. They were expecting another boring D rank, but their sensei was going for a C rank. I guess Kakashi isn't as useless as I thought. Grumbled Naruto in his mind. At least he is good for something, kid. Purred Kyuubi, excited that his container can get out of the village, even possibly slaughtering something along the way. What got you so excited? Asked a suspicious Naruto. Oh nothing at all. Said Kyuubi innocently. Naruto saw a brief image of Kyuubi sitting down on his haunches sporting an innocent look on his face while his 9 tails happily wagging behind him. Really? Prodded Naruto. Yep, really. Kyuubi quickly replied before ending the communication between them. Naruto focused his attention to the outside world. Sarutobi coughed to shut everyone up, especially a ranting Kiba. Since both Team 7 and Team 8 are both requesting a C rank, I will be assigning both teams a joint C rank mission. Your mission would be to escort your client, the bridge builder Tazuna, back to Wave and protect him while he is finishing the construction of his bridge. This will be a long-term mission. Kakashi will be taking leadership of both teams seconded by Kurenai since he has seniority over her. The rest of you will follow their orders as befitting your station. He handed the mission scroll to Kakashi who accepted it lazily. Any questions? None. Good. Iruka, bring the client in please. Iruka opened the door and an old man wearing a dark green sleeveless shirt, loose brown pants, and a straw hat. His face looks ordinary enough with a grey beard and glasses, just your typical old man under a straw hat. Tazuna entered the Hokage office and looked at the shinobis assigned to him. Naruto noticed that the old man was slightly drunk and smelled lightly of booze. He crinkled his nose at the scent. What? These are my protection detail. Why bring the kids along? In fact, I don't even think that they are ninjas. Look at that kid bringing his dog along, or that shy girl. Is that pink-haired brat a ninja? What ninja has pink hair? He looked at the amused Naruto. Well, the blonde kid looks decent, I suppose, though the emo kid 3 looks suicidal. Tazuna added last part when he spotted Sasuke brooding in the corner. The insulted parties were looking at the client with clear rage in their eyes. Kiba was about to pounce on him but was held back by Kurenai, who looked apologetically at Tazuna. I apologize for my student Tazuna-san, but I assure you, these kids are proud genins of Konoha and have skills that will surely protect you during our journey to your home. Tazuna just grunted. Well, I don't care as long as they do a good job. I want all of you to protect me with your life. He demanded to the shinobis in the room. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the declaration. Kakashi nodded and faced the 2 genin teams. Okay everyone, we will be leaving in 3 hours. I want you all to go home and pack for a month-long mission just in case. Meet up at the eastern gate in 3 hours. Dismissed. Everyone was about to leave through the door when Naruto spoke. See you later, Jiji. Naruto addressed the Hokage, giving him a cheeky smile before disappearing in a burst of lightning which stunned everyone in the room. The Hokage just laughed at their reactions. Tazuna was impressed. Naruto arrived in his house in burst of lightning. He was chuckling at that spectacular display of elemental shunshin in front of his sensei and peers. He knew that would leave a stunned group behind. He should ask the Hokage the description of their faces later when they got back from the mission. Shaking his head, he focused his thoughts in equipping himself properly for the mission. After 10 minutes, Naruto entered the library armory wearing his new battle gear. It was similar to his previous design but better. He is now sporting a black fishnet muscled shirt that definitely showed off his muscles, a dark grey robe with long sleeves that reached down to his wrist, and black cargo pants. He is no longer wearing his shuriken and kunai holsters. His Konoha headband still tied to his left bicep. Instead of wearing his holsters, he wore 2 black fingerless gloves that are open on both the palms and at the back of his hands that revealed his storage seal on the left and the tiger tattoo on the right. These 2 babies were more than just accessories, these 2 are the new addition to his armory. The gloves were one of his pet projects on seals. He placed the single direction trap seal on the knuckles on both gloves. The right glove contained his 500 custom-made mini kunes that is perfect as a high-speed projectile. The left were the standard shurikens. Both offer a comfortable grip for wielding a sword, and the inner part of the glove was lined with chakra conductive wires that will complement his chakra manipulation skills. Also, as an added feature, he had a seal on the inside of both gloves that will automatically create a sizable chakra shield of his own design, using his bloodline. When both gloves are placed together, the separate seals will form a single powerful seal that will automatically create a dome of chakra 10 feet in diameter with him at the center. The shield is as powerful as his chakra control. At his current level, he can keep the shield up for 5 minutes before wavering. Separately, each glove can create a 2-foot circular shield on top of his glove that is great for instant defense. It was inferior to his Kamigan defense, but it's better safe than sorry, especially when he runs out of chakra. He created this secondary defense scheme since an activated Kamigan can drain a lot of his chakra. At maximum, he can hold his Kamigan active and in full use for a full 2 hours. He stored the usual mission rations, as well some reload kunais and shurikens on his storage seals, and placed the paper version of both trap seals in the inner pocket on his robe. To put it simply, he was armed and dangerous. Realizing that he still have 2 hours to kill before meeting the teams, he went down to the kitchen to fix himself a light lunch and lounged around. When it was time to go, he placed his hand on the mantle on top of the fireplace to activate the house's protection. He will be away for who knows how long, so he wants to make sure that his clan house is protected despite the outer defense that his dad left behind. Time skip 3 hours later. Naruto arrived exactly on time at the western gate to meet his team. He appeared in front of his team with his new lighting shunshin that shocked the group, no pun intended. He saw that everyone was there, including the always tardy-hatted Kakashi. The females in the group, however, were sporting a different form of shock upon his appearance. Hinata saw Naruto arrive with a spectacular entrance, but she blushed furiously when she saw Naruto's muscled chest and abs. She was fighting a losing battle between fainting or release a large nosebleed. Must not faint. Must not faint, she chanted mentally. Sakura blushed when she saw Naruto's muscles. Damn, I didn't know he was hiding those. Thought Sakura, but automatically saying that Sasuke was still more built than the blonde. Kurenai saw Naruto appear and her eyes bulge at the sight. Shit. He looks just like his father. Look at those muscles. This kid will be a heartbreaker with the ladies in the future. As always, Naruto was oblivious to the female's reaction, but Kyuubi noticed this and snickered. Hi guys. Hope I didn't make you wait. Naruto greeted everyone cheerfully. No, you're just in time. Kakashi and Tazuna-san just arrived. Replied Kurenai, effectively holding down a blush but was fighting hard not to keep a close eye on those muscles. Naruto joined the group but not before Sasuke noticed that he didn't bring any packs along like the rest of teams. Hey dope, don't tell me you forgot to bring your pack along. He mocked the blonde. Naruto just gave him a look and raised his left hand showing his storage seal. I got everything right here. Indicating the seal with his right finger. You know seals? Asked Kakashi in a stunned voice. Of course. Dad left a lot of notes on seals back in our clan library. I've been studying them for almost 2 years now. I won't say I'm a master, but I get by. Prove it dope. Said an arrogant Sasuke, not believing a word of the blonde's knowledge on seals. He looked around and saw that everyone was looking at him, expectant of his demonstration. He sighed and raised his right hand, palm out facing 3 feet in front of him, and channeled chakra through his storage seal, while willing all the items to come out. A large puff of smoke later, the entire content of the storage seal was laid out for everyone to see. Mounds of shurikens and kunais all ate in their respective group, 2 outdoor tents, 4 sleeping bags, 3 medium-sized boxes of food rations, and of course, a bunch of other equipments, like inks, blank scrolls, and some spare clothes. He looked at the dumbfounded group. Well, enough demonstration for you. Naruto, what are all those? Stuttered Sakura. Kakashi-sensei mentioned to pack for a month so I did. I packed extra just in case some of you run out of something so it's better to be safe than sorry. I have the liberty to bring as much as I can since I am not encumbered by the weight. Also, I have enough chakra at my disposal to store unlimited items in a single seal without any repercussion. Explained Naruto. Everyone accepted the explanation easily, but Kurenai noted the slight change in tone when he mentioned Kakashi's name. She filed it at the back of his mind for later. But, how in the world did you have a storage seal on your arm? That's not supposed to be possible. Also, no seal in existence can store multiple items at once. Half-shouted Kurenai in astonishment. Of course you wouldn't know about it. This is one of the prototype seals that my dad made. It is one of his pet projects. He was checking out how summoning scrolls work and made a few sketches on skin-based seals. I finished it and now it is safe to use. Do you think you can give us a copy of those seals? That would make it very convenient for the rest of the team. Asked Kakashi, seeing the huge advantage of having such seals on his person. He knew that Minato was a seal master and it seems that he passed his expertise to his son. Sorry Kakashi-sensei. Hokage told me to hold on to the design since this is part of Konoha's secrets. If the design gets out then our enemies might take advantage of it. If you want, you can ask Jiji if I'm allowed to graft a seal on your skin, but I can't make any promises. Explained Naruto. He wasn't worried that the Hokage would give permission since they already decided on the alibi when those who know about it will ask for it. Those who ask will be automatically turned down, nicely of course. Everyone in the team was looking at Naruto in a new light, except for Sasuke and Sakura of course. Sasuke was seething with jealousy at what Naruto was capable of, and he was afraid of asking the blonde to give him his techniques. The fight they had at the training ground was still fresh in his mind, so he just gritted his teeth and kept his mouth shut. Naruto, seeing that everyone was happy with the demonstration, channeled a large amount of chakra to his storage seal while pointing his left hand at his supplies. A large puff of smoke later, the supplies left the ground and tucked safely away inside his seal. So, are we ready to go? Kakashi nodded. Okay team, I'm going to ask everyone to take defensive points with Tazuna-san in the middle. Hinata and Kiba will take points since they can easily detect incoming dangers with their bloodline. Shino and Sakura will place themselves beside Tazuna-san in the middle for protection. Naruto take left and Sasuke gets right. Kurenai and me will lag behind the group to provide support if necessary. Okay everyone, let's go. Team 7 and 8 took their designated positions and left Konoha towards Wave. He didn't know it, but Naruto's adventure just started and his name will start to spread all over the elemental country for good or for ill. Chapter 14 Sojourn to Wave. It's Naruto's first time to ever leave the village and to be quite frank, he was sorely disappointed. There was nothing to see except trees, lots and lots of trees. At first, he was quite excited to exit the western gate of Konoha with the rest of Team 7 and 8, however, after a few miles of walking, the sight of huge trees left more to be desired. Naruto was bored as hell as they traversed through the visible path towards Wave Country with their client. After the momentary excitement has passed, his mind clicked back to the mission at hand. True, this was a simple escort mission, but the gut feeling he has been having since he met Tazuna was bothering him. After all his years of experience running from the mobs of Konoha, not following his gut feeling was hazardous to one's health. Especially his. His eyes strayed to his current teammates as they trudged through the dusty path. It hasn't rained for quite a while, so the road was not hampered with mud or puddles. Up ahead, Hinata and Kiba was busy talking to each other as they walked. He noticed that Hinata was activating her Byakugan from time to check out the path ahead. Kiba, along with Akamaru on his head, was sniffing the air to detect if there were unnatural scents that are mostly related to hidden attackers. Next on his vision were Shino and Sakura in the middle of the defensive group. Sakura was still the same, no change there. He shook his head thinking about their past conversation in Training Ground 7. She was definitely a talented Kunoichi of the Leaf, but her current mental state has hampered her improvement in the shinobi arts to an almost zero. If she doesn't correct herself soon then she would find herself in a compromising position that would easily end her life. Shino, on the other hand, was the epitome of shinobi stoicism. In all his age group, only Shino is able to hide his emotions with such intensity that it was scary. But don't let his seeming inattentiveness fool you, the eyes behind those dark glasses see a lot and the addition of the Aburam logic makes him a deadly shinobi. One thing that interested Naruto with the teen is his family's connection with insects. He found some reference in his clan's library about the secretive Aburams, but not enough to give him a complete description. After his brief glance of the insect user, he was able to spot the brooding Sasuke on the far right of the defensive position. He was confused with the dark-haired teen. True, his family and clan was murdered in front of his eyes by his very own brother, but it shouldn't spur him to the point of destroying his humanity and change it to a monster that craved for only power for the sake of revenge. He definitely tried to change the Uchiha, but it seems that whatever he said fell on deaf ears. He shrugged his shoulders and led his thoughts straight to the two jounin that comprised the back of the group. Had a Kakashi, a man that confused Naruto to no ends. What happened to the happy-go-lucky dog that he knew when he was still in Anbu? Why did he suddenly deviate from his chosen code and drop the bomb called favoritism for the Uchiha? It was a mystery that he intended to find out. Last, definitely not the least, is the very mysterious Yuuhi Kurenai, the Jinjutsu mistress of Konohagakure no Sado. Among the jounins of Konoha, she was the weakest in terms of Taijutsu and Ninjutsu, but her Jinjutsu skills was on par with the Kurama clan that is well known for the bloodline of turning illusions into reality. To put it simply, her skills can be summarized to letting you see something else then you die. He was intrigued of her skills and wanted to ask her for some advice, but he knew when there is something that no amount of study and hard work can he ever hope to compete. Kyuubi's chakra is simply too potent for him to make use of illusions. He was brought out of his thoughts by a shout from Hinata. When he came back to reality, he sensed something behind him and looked back. He saw two figures jump out of the puddle that he didn't notice earlier and wrap their senseis tightly in chains that is connected to both of their claw-like metallic arms, linking them together. "Do down," said one of the figures, then yanked on the chain that sliced up their jounin senseis into bits of cloth, blood, and flesh. "Kakashi-sensei. Kurenai-sensei," shouted Sakura as she saw her powerful jounin instructor getting torn to shreds. She immediately froze upon seeing the bloody results of the attack, the client standing forgotten to her side. "More to go." The other echoed his partner, then both dashed towards Tazuna. The team spurned into action. Naruto immediately raised his right arm and channeled chakra to his right glove in continuous burst, releasing a rapid fire of shurikens towards the two dark figures, intent to slow them down. The two figures saw the incoming projectile but were able to dodge it by jumping to the right. Shino released his bugs when he saw that the attackers were nearing Tazuna and their position, giving them a silent command to drain their chakra upon contact. However, the attackers noticed the gathering swarm immediately, and one of them threw a couple of shurikens towards Shino, who was surprised by the sudden attack, then threw himself to the side, while tackling Tazuna in the process, since his evasion might possibly hit the client with a stray projectile. This threw Shino off balance, and insect swarm disregard the command to attack in favor of protecting their master. Naruto acted quickly and launched a kunai that hit one of the holes in one of the links connecting them together and stuck the two of them to a tree. Sasuke mimicked the action and threw his own shuriken, which further trapped the two in their place. The attackers tugged on the chain and saw that it was stuck tight. They were about to disengage their link when Sasuke grabbed both their clawed arms, spun, then released a double mule kick that launched them to the air. It was an impressive display, but it has specific drawback. The force of the kick was so strong that it threw the attackers up and forcefully breaking the chain from the kunai and shuriken that held it in place. Great work, idiot. Now you just made our problems twice as hard. Grunted Naruto as he created a chakra blade for the imminent attack. HNN was all he got from the Uchiha prodigy who was a few feet away from him to his left. Naruto shook his head and focused his attentions to their opponents. The two attackers noticed that they were free in mid-air, so they used their own bodies to jump to the sides, displaying great teamwork and body coordination. One of the attackers went straight for Tazuna, while the others were heading right for Naruto. Hinata saw one of the attackers heading straight for their client. At a glance, she saw Sakura freeze, so she dashed forward, placing herself in front of the client and went down to her Juken stance. When the attacker got in range, she attacked with everything she had, throwing jabs, palm thrusts, and swipes in hopes to land a blow and incapacitate her attacker. Unfortunately for her, the attacker was a level above their own and was able to dodge her attempts easily. She made a mistake of overextending one of her palm thrusts and was about to pay for it when a shout of Gatsuga saved her. Hiba, seeing Hinata was about to be killed, crouched down and jumped forward, spinning while yelling Gatsuga. The drill-like attack hit the Hinata's attacker while he was about to swipe her with his metallic claws, hitting him on the side hard that threw him off the side. Kiba recovered and immediately crouched down in front of Hinata in a defensive position. Akamaru caught up with his partners and stayed on his side, growling a warning. Naruto's chakra blade clanged harmlessly with the attacker's clawed hand. Both were grunting with the effort to push the other back to no avail. Despite Naruto's extreme physical workout, his strength was still that of a 12-year-old boy, but he was able to hold it with someone having a much larger frame than himself. As both strove for dominance, Sasuke stole an overhead kick to the attacker's head that threw him back. Unfortunately, this sudden attack also caught Naruto by surprise. He yelped when the opposing force disappeared and fell forward face first on the ground. He grunted and pushed himself off the floor and glared at the culprit. "You fool. What did you do that for?" growled Naruto. "I just took the chance to attack Dobe. It wasn't my fault that you were in my way," said Sasuke with an arrogant smirk. Naruto lost it there and then. He growled and picked himself off the floor. He was mad. Oh, he was really mad. "Enough." He shouted that stunned everyone, including the two attackers who were partially stunned on the ground. Naruto growled and activated his Kamagen. His elemental orbs materialized and furiously spun around him. He was indeed a sight to behold. An invisible wind whipped through his robe, causing it to flap uncontrollably. His eyes were the scariest. When everyone saw it, they froze. The reversed R on Naruto's eyes was now spinning madly to reflect its master's rage. Naruto threw his arms out, both pointing to each of the attacker. Two whip-like appendages burst forth from the water orb and shot straight to the downed attackers. It wrapped around them like furious tentacles and lifted them off the ground and willed both figures to float in front of him. With another growl, he threw both of them forward to crash headfirst into a tree. Naruto raised his right hand and immediately closed it to form a fist. Earth floated up from the ground and launched itself towards the stunned attackers, effectively enclosing them in with dirt and rocks. After a blast of water and fire later, the attackers were now enclosed in hardened clay around their bodies, effectively cutting off any means of escape. Seeing that his job was done, he turned his furious gaze went over to Sasuke who was shivering in fear. He released a rumbling growl and willed another whip that surrounded Sasuke and froze him on the spot. He stomped towards the shivering Uchiha. "You idiot. For once in your life stop being an arrogant dick and be a shinobi for Kami's sake. You knew that I was in a standoff with my opponent. You can easily kick him to the side or you can easily warn me of your attack. But no. You have to use that idiotic Uchiha brain of yours and resort to bravado that could have put your teammates to their death. If you do this one more time in my presence, I'm going to make sure that no Uchiha will be left in Konoha. By Kami I swear it. With a growl, he threw the Uchiha with such force that he ended up 20 feet away from his position, landing face first on the ground and skidding before coming to a halt. Naruto took a deep breath to calm him down. He closed his eyes and deactivated his Kamagen. He continued breathing in and out for a couple of seconds before he was calm enough to be rational again. When he opened his eyes, he almost laughed out loud at the expression on his teammate's face. Both Kakashi and Kurenai, who supposedly died, were standing in front of a large bush with mouth gaping open, shocked even to say anything. Kiba was looking at Naruto like he was a god, both awe and fear on his face. Mental note: don't make Naruto mad. Was his thoughts repeating over and over again. Akamaru was on the ground whimpering behind Kiba's legs. Hinata was flushing like mad. Naruto with his bloodline active and taking charge was definitely something she wanted to see again. Naruto-kun. No. Must. Not. Faint. Sakura, as always, gaped at what Naruto did to her crush before running towards Hifo and Uchiha to see if he was okay. She didn't even yell at him. Shino, will Shino just have one of his eyebrows raised? Typical Abiram. However, his bugs were buzzing in his body and under his coat, telling him one thing: don't you dare make that boy mad at you. Izuna was looking at him as if he was the savior of mankind. With this kid guarding me, Gato's going down. Yep, he's going down. In an act that would purely categorize him as a son of Kushina to those who knew her, Naruto scratched the back of his head in total embarrassment. Sorry about that. I guess I lost my temper there for a bit. That snapped everyone back to their coherent thoughts. A good job everyone, especially you Naruto. Kakashi complimented in a subdued voice before interrogating the captured nins. After interrogating the prisoners, Kakashi and Kurenai was able to find out that these two were the demon brothers, missing nin of Kurigakure. According to them, they were both hired by Gato to kill Tazuna before he can reach Wave and complete the bridge. Tazuna, who was now caught in the act of lying about the mission parameter, was explaining to Kakashi why he did it. I had no choice. I have to hire shinobis to protect me while I finish the bridge. It is my country's only hope. Explained a desperate Tazuna. He was sweating bullets because all the shinobis were looking at him. Why did you lie about the mission ranking? That could have jeopardized everyone on the team. Said Kurenai heatedly. Again, I have no choice. Wave country is bled dry of all its finances because of Gato. We only have enough money for a C-rank mission. Stuttered Tazuna, now kneeling on the ground, praying for their mercy to go ahead with the mission. You are my country's only hope. Kakashi sighed, he really hated being in this kind of position. I'm not sure if we should continue the mission. This is definitely a breach in protocol. If the demon brothers are any indication, we will be facing stronger shinobis when we reach Wave. Considering that the demon brothers are easily Chunin rank, it is quite possible we will be facing a Jounin rank missing nin once we reach our destination. Please. You have to help me. We don't have anyone else to turn to. Wailed Tazuna. This is out of my hands, Tazuna-san. Only the Hokage can order us to continue the mission or not. Naruto interrupted his sensei. Not quite, Kakashi-sensei. What if we make camp and get word to the old man? The Hokage about the change in mission. We can send him a message, wait for it and see what he decides. What do you think? Kakashi thought about it for a second. I'm not sure, Naruto. We don't have any means to send any message to Hokage-sama. Naruto held up his hand. But what if we have a means to send a message to the Hokage and get a reply in a matter of hours? Would you write the message? Well, if that is the case, then yes. I will write a report and send it to the Hokage and we can wait for his reply whether to continue the mission or not. Good. Why don't you write the message? I'll take care of sending it to the old man. Said Naruto with a grin. And how are you supposed to do that? This time, Kurenai asked with a curious tone in her voice. Trust me. Can you write the report now, Kakashi-sensei? Directing the question to the one-eyed Jounin, who nodded and fished out a blank scroll, ink and brush from his pack and proceeded to write the message. After a few minutes, Kakashi finished and handed the sealed scroll to the blonde genin. Naruto raised his right arm and channeled some chakra to his phoenix tattoo. A flash of flame later, a marvelous yellow-plumed phoenix appeared on Naruto's outstretched arms. The said bird checked its surroundings before looking at its summoner. He Naruto-kun. Long time no see. What do you need? Hira, can you do me a favor? Can you bring this message to the old man real quick and wait for his reply? We need it as fast as possible. Naruto asked the phoenix. Sure. No problem. But. Do you have some candy with you? The young phoenix chirped excitedly. Naruto sweat dropped. Great. Another sweets-addicted phoenix. The entire clan has gone mad. He looked around at his stunned teammates and sensei. Anyone has any candy for my friend here? Pointing to the waiting phoenix who was making herself adorable in hopes to get more than one candy. The guys in the group shrugged in negative. Hinata, however, blushed and brought out a chocolate-covered candy from her pocket and handed it to Naruto, who raised an eyebrow at the furiously blushing girl before unwrapping the candy and handing it to the thrilling bird who gobbled it up with a happy squawk. "Thanks, that was delicious," crowed the bird who took the scroll using her talons and disappeared in a burst of yellow-orange flames. Naruto shook his head. "Ever since I introduced candy to the Phoenix clan, they are all addicted to the thing. I shudder to think the amount of candy I would need if the boss summon would ask the same thing." He looked at his stunned teammates and Kurenai. Kakashi was just giving him an eye smile since he already knew that Naruto is able to summon the Phoenix. "What? Naruto, what was that?" asked a stunned Kurenai. "Oh. I forgot. That was one of my summons from the Phoenix clan. Her name is Rei, part of the group who is known for delivering quick messages." "Wait a minute, Sakura told me that you can also summon tigers," asked Kakashi. Everyone looked at him as if he was crazy. However, Naruto was giving Sakura a glare who managed to look sheepish for telling her sensei of Naruto's other summon. Naruto sighed. "Fine. I have the contract for the Phoenix and Tiger clans. I also have the Dragon clan as part of my summons since it is a part of my inheritance from the Uzumaki clan," explained an exasperated Naruto. "What? You have 3 summons?" yelled a shocked Kurenai. Everyone else was also shocked at the revelation. Sure, 1 summon was outstanding, but 3 summons. Incredible. Yeah? Is there a problem with that?" asked Naruto, giving them all a questioning look. No. Just shocked, that's all. "Maybe we should start to make camp while we wait for that bird of yours," instructed the red-eyed Jounin. Everyone nodded and went into the woods to look for a place to set up camp. Hiba was able to find a good-size clearing a few meters away from the road with the help of Akamaru. Everyone pitched in to help and Naruto had to take out his spare tent and sleeping bag from his storage seal for Tazuna. Rei suddenly appeared in front of Naruto floating in midair as he was relaxing on a log and dropped a scroll that she got from the Hokage. "Anything else, Naruto-kun?" thrilled Rei towards her summoner. "Nope. That is enough for now. Thanks a bunch, Rei. I'll make sure I bring sweets when I summon you and your clan." "You're always welcome, Naruto-kun. Make sure that you get the one that you gave me. I never knew chocolate was so good. Don't be a stranger now," said Rei as farewell and flared back to her home in the summoning realm. Naruto picked up a scroll from his lap and threw it to his Jounin sensei, who opened it and read the instructions from the Hokage. He passed the scroll to Kurenai for her to read before addressing Tazuna. "You're lucky, Tazuna-san. That Hokage gave us permission to continue the mission." After hearing this, Tazuna gave a sigh of relief and thanked everyone. His country is saved. Kakashi continued. "Okay everyone. Hokage-sama gave us new mission parameters. For your information, the mission is now boosted from C rank to A rank, with potential S rank, depending on the missing nins we will be encountering on the mission." The news shocked everyone. They all realized that they just went out of the playground and into the real world of Shinobis. This is starting to get serious. "We are going to break camp in the morning and make our way to Wave as fast as we can. Our order is to neutralize any hostilities we encounter." "Understood." After getting an affirmative from everyone on the team, they continued organizing their campsite, decided on watch shifts, then rested for a hard day tomorrow. Chapter 15 Clash of the Demons. Team 7 and 8 broke camp an hour after dawn to resume their trek towards Wave. Naruto slept well last night at his own tent but was woken up 3 hours before dawn by Kurenai for his turn to watch the camp. It wouldn't have been so bad, but being partnered with a much brooding Sasuke almost forced him to pull his hairs off. He made a mental note not to draw sticks again for watching the camp. However, it didn't bother him too much since the Uchiha kept quiet for the rest of the shift, but the wave of jealousy and anger wafting off him definitely made him tense. The teams from Konoha was able to reach the heavily misted shore of Hai no Kuni, where they were supposed to take a secret boat ride from one of Tazuna's contacts to bring them to Wave. The only problem that Naruto saw out of the whole thing was that there is only one boat. "Tazuna, I thought we agreed that you will only be taking 4 people with you. My boat can only 5 people including you. And I'm not risking my life to return for the next batch," the boatman said in a small voice. "Come on Genji, make it a favor for me," begged the bridge builder. "No. I'm already risking my neck granting you passage towards Wave. If Gato finds out then I'll be sinked before I yell for help," the boatman adamantly refused. Tazuna sighed. He turned to the Konoha Shinobis. "I guess that's that. 4 of you will take the boat with me, while the other would find a way to cross." Kakashi paused while thinking about his options. "We can always water walk to Wave but from the group, only me and Kurenai can do." He was interrupted by a cough from Naruto. "Yes Naruto. I can do water walk Kakashi-sensei," admitted Naruto. He saw that Sasuke was about to retort, so he jumped on top of the water to demonstrate that he can do so. That shut the Uchiha up. "See?" Kakashi coughed. Okay, 3 of us can walk to wave, but that still leaves us one who won't be able to cross. I guess we can piggyback. So who? This time, Kakashi was interrupted by a small splash. He sweat dropped when he saw that Sasuke and Sakura was already on the boat. I guess that solved part of the problem. So who wants to piggyback? He gave everyone on the shore an eye smile, while Kurenai just rolled her eyes at his Kojounin's attempt at a joke. Kakashi-sensei. Why don't you decide who will go on the boat while I will take care of the rest of those who are left? Advised Naruto, who was giving the misty waters a speculative look. What have you got in mind, Naruto? Asked Kakashi, sighing that his student will be pulling another miracle from his rhetorical hat. Trust me. Kakashi rolled his eyes. Really, trust me. Just pick who goes on the boat, then I'll take care of the rest. Fine. At least there should be one Jounin on the boat to protect Izuna on the way to wave. So since Sasuke and Sakura volunteered themselves on the boat, I guess either me or Kurenai would be riding along with. Shino. Yes, Shino. We need at least one tracker out there that can scout in advance. Instructed Kakashi in a dubious voice. Why don't you take the boat, Kakashi, with Shino? I'll stay with Naruto for whatever he needs to do to get us to wave. Quipped Kurenai, who immediately volunteered to join Naruto since she was curious what the blonde was up to. Sure. Well, come on, Shino. Kakashi beckoned to the quiet Aburam. Both boarded the boat where the boatman pushed it off from the shore and waited for Naruto's group to follow them before pulling out. Naruto saw that the first group was ready. He looked at Kurenai with a speculative eye. Tell me, Kurenai-sensei, are you afraid of heights? Confused at the question, Kurenai decided to answer the blonde enigma honestly. Yes, as a matter of fact, I am afraid of heights. There's something about empty air that creeps me out. Naruto nodded at the honest answer. Okay, here we go. We will be floating beside the boat. So. Here goes. He faced the water and channeled chakra to his tattoo while thinking of a particular dragon that loved to swim. A large puff of smoke later, a large green dragon appeared on top of the water just a few feet beside the boat, where everyone yelped in surprise. Naruto-sama. Finally you called for me. The dragon noticed the wet location he materialized from. Perfect. You know I love to swim. The large green dragon punctuated his happiness by splashing his tail on the water, which caused medium-sized waves to appear and rocked the boat, making Sakura turning green from motion sickness. Dear Ryudo. You're welcome. I immediately thought of you when a problem presented itself. Can you take us to Wave Country? All you need is to follow the boat. Naruto addressed the large green dragon while pointing at the boat beside him. Ryudo swerved his head to the side and saw the boat and its trembling occupants. He nodded and looked back to Naruto. Sure thing, Naruto-sama. So who will be coming along for the ride? Naruto gestured Kurenai, Hinata, Kiba, and Akamaru, who was trembling inside Kiba's jackets when the dragon materialized in front of them. You think you can handle the weight? DSSSH easy. Climb aboard. Snorted the dragon before pulling closer to the shore and placed his massive head on the beach. Well, come on. I want to go for a swim. Naruto gestured his dumbfounded teammates to get on board. Seeing their scared looks, he rolled his eyes and jumped on top of Ryudo and settled down on the nook in between his eyes. Aren't you coming? Invited Naruto while giving the team left on the shore a cheeky grin. Kurenai reluctantly followed and jumped up on the dragon's head. She immediately noticed that the scales were hard as if she was standing on solid ground. He beckoned Hinata and Kiba to tell them it was safe. Both followed their sensei and jumped on board as well. Naruto, seeing that everyone was ready, looked at the stunned boatman. Everything's ready, Mr. Boatman, sir. You go first, then we'll follow. Genji just nodded his head and rowed the boat away from the shore and towards Wave. Naruto patted Ryudo head to signal him to follow the boat, which he did. The ride was relatively quiet for both the teams on the boat and the ones on the dragon. After half an hour of travel, Naruto saw the outline of the bridge that Tizuna was building, and it was huge. Naruto looked over to the boat and saw that Tizuna was busy talking to Kakashi about Gato's activity in Wave. He also noticed that Sakura was eyeing Hinata and Kiba a jealous look, possibly thinking that she shouldn't have followed Sasuke in boarding the vessel so she could join Naruto on his dragon. As usual, Sasuke was brooding, but not casting him some angry and jealous looks once in a while. Naruto was just amused at the two. Hey Tizuna. The bridge you are building is huge. Naruto comment over the water towards Tizuna. Aigaki. That bridge is my masterpiece, and once it is completed, it will save everyone in Wave and liberate us from Gato's clutches. Tizuna declared with his newly rekindled determination. Don't worry, Tizuna-san. We will help you finish the bridge. Said Naruto, which made the old man relax, thinking that he was in good hands with this team. So Naruto, what can you tell me about the Dragon Clan? You mentioned earlier that it is in Uzumaki clan summon. Asked Kurenai, her voice laced with innocent curiosity. Yep. I found the scrolls for my summons in my clan's library. Gigi told me that my mom must have acquired the other 2 contracts during her tenure as a leaf shinobi. Explained Naruto. Gigi? Oh, you know him as Old Man Hokage. Replied Naruto. Kurenai just gave him a look of admiration. You got balls of steel, kid, I'll tell you that. Not many got the courage to call Hokage-sama the way you do. Naruto just waved his hands at the Jounin's comment. Nah. As far as I can remember, I always called him Gigi or Old Man. After all, I treat him as a grandfather and he told me that I am his surrogate grandson. I guess that is my way of showing him my respect. Explained Naruto with a gentle smile on his face that made Kurenai smile as well. So, back to my question, I thought dragons were supposed to, you know, fly. Oh. Don't worry, dragons can fly, even Ryudo here. He confirmed while giving the dragon a scratch on the head that elicited a rumbling purr from the summon. He just likes to swim, so I specifically chose him to give us a ride to Wave since you told me that you don't like heights. Thank you for considering my well-being, Naruto. By the way, why did you ask me anyway? Naruto gave her a sheepish grin. Well, you see, I'm not really that fond of riding dragons. I prefer the Phoenix clan for that. I don't know why, but flying without wings makes my skin crawl. He punctuated the last part with a shiver. You know, Naruto-sama. If you just give it a try, you will definitely enjoy it. If you want, I'll take off right now and give you and your group one hell of a ride. Quipped the happily swimming dragon. Naruto slapped the dragon with his hand. Oh no, you don't, you overgrown pile of scales. If you do that, I'll tell Siryu about it. He knows I don't like it. The dragon didn't say anything, but the slight tremor that rocked the body was testament that the dragon was afraid. Kurenai's attention perked up upon hearing the name. Wait a minute. Did you just say Siryu? The legendary beast Siryu? She said accusingly to Naruto. Kurenai-sensei, please keep it down. I don't want to announce to the world that I hold the legendary dragon clan's contract. Admonished Naruto in a small voice. By the way, how did you recognize the name anyway? Gigi told me that the names of the legendary beast are lost since antiquity. Kurenai blushed at being admonished by a student. Well, I have this hobby of reading mythological histories of the elemental nations. That is why I recognized the name. She snapped her head to Naruto so quick that the blonde teen thought her neck broke. Wait a minute. Don't tell me that the boss of your 2 other summons are Suzaku and Byako. She demanded from the genin. Good thing she whispered the last part so the rest of the party wasn't able to hear. Yes. Whispered a scared Naruto. Damn. Who would have thought that a simple genin have 3 of the 4 contracts of the legendary beasts? Sighed Kurenai, cannot believe what she found out. Is it really that hard to believe, Kurenai-sensei? Not really, it's just. I don't know. Amazing, I guess. For a person like me who loves history, these things can be a dream come true, you know. She sighed again. How I wish. How you wish that you can meet them, right? Yes. Naruto laughed. She patted Kurenai on the back and gave her a huge grin. Don't worry, Kurenai-sensei. If we have time after this mission, I'll be more than happy to introduce you to them. I know they would love to know that someone is still interested in their history. Kurenai just gave Naruto a strong hug as a silent thank you. Naruto blushed at the contact which Kurenai saw. She laughed. The entire trip took 2 hours due to the boat being slow, but the dragon was happy with the delay since it will allow them to spend more time in the water. The boat took them to a secluded part of the island that was said to be out of Gato's radar. Both teams disembarked from their respective vessels. When Naruto reached the shore, he bade Ryudo farewell, which the dragon happily returned. He poofed back to his home, but not before telling Naruto to summon him again in case he needs another water ride. Naruto just shook his head at the absurdity of the request. Teams 7 and 8 took defensive positions around Tazuna as he guided them towards his home. It was an easy trek, but everyone stopped when Kiba threw a shuriken at the moving bush before Hinata could stop him. He admonished him for his carelessness before going to the bush and pulling out a shivering white rabbit which was inches away from being skewered by Kiba's kunai. Hinata released the rabbit after petting it a few times and the group continued their walk towards Tazuna's house. However, the silence around the group ended when Kakashi heard something in the woods. Without warning, he yelled for everyone to get down. Everyone reacted. Shino pulled down Tazuna while everyone else threw themselves on the ground. And not a moment too soon when a huge blade was spinning overhead and impaled itself on a tree in front of them. The figure appeared, perching on the blade glaring at the Konoha team below. Lamachi Zabuza, aka Demon of the Mist. A rank missing nin from Kurigakure no Sado. Kakashi revealed the identity of the person when he recognized his appearance. Zabuza looked down at the speaker and released an evil smirk when he recognized who it was. Oh. Had Kakashi, or should I say Sharingan no Kakashi, the copycat ninja. Said Zabuza in a taunting tone. What are you doing here, Zabuza? Aren't you a long way from home? Said Kakashi calmly while ignoring the killer intent that the missing nin was throwing at them. Well, I'm here on business, Kakashi. You see, I was hired to kill that old man over there by my client," replied Zabuza while pointing a finger at the cowering form of Tazuna. "And who might this client be?" prodded Kakashi, wanting to get more information from the nin. Kakashi. You already know who I'm working with. So why don't you spare me the trouble and hand me the old man? In exchange, I'll let your teams go free. How's that for a good deal, huh? No deal, Zabuza. We were hired to protect Azuna, and you're not going to get him that easily without a fight," declared Kakashi, pulling up his hit I-8 revealing his Sharingan. Zabuza noticed this and smirked some more. "Oh? Bringing out the famed Sharingan already, Kakashi. I'm honored that you put me in such a high pedestal." Instead of answering the missing nin, Kakashi addressed the genins. "Team 7 and 8, I want all of you to protect Azuna. Me and Kurenai will handle Zabuza." Akiri missing nin heard this and smirked. "Really, Kakashi, you think that you can protect your little brats? I don't think so." He did a set of hand seals and released his technique. Water style hit and missed. Immediately, the entire area was blanketed by a thick mist that obscured everyone's view. Kurenai and Kakashi were tense for an attack, while the genins were huddled around Tazuna with their body tense for potential threats. Out of nowhere, an intense blast of killing intent wafted through the area, making the genins shiver. Naruto was able to counteract the effects of the killing intent, but the rest of the teams weren't able to do so. "Thank Kami Jiji taught me how to counter killing intent using chakra," Naruto thought, silently sending a prayer of thanks to the old man for the lessons. Naruto looked around and saw that his teammates weren't taking it well. He decided on a course of action that would probably make him regret it later on. He shouted at Kakashi. "Kakashi-sensei. How long do you need to get rid of Zabuza?" Kakashi gave Naruto a glance while keeping his eyes peeled for possible attacks. Zabuza is a master of the silent killing technique. This might not be an easy match even with me and Kurenai tag teaming him. If I must, I may be able to hold out or take him out in 15 minutes give or take. Naruto nodded. "I can hold out with what I'm about to do." He looked at his shivering teammates and the cowering old man. "Guys, I want you to huddle around me right now. At least get in range of within 10 feet. I can protect us while our senseis take Zabuza out." "What do you mean?" asked Shino, but wasn't able to get it all out when Naruto barked out a simple command. "Now!" shouted Naruto with every piece of authority he could muster. Without another word, the genins of Team 7 and 8 huddled around Naruto with Tazuna in beside him. Not wasting any time, Naruto brought out his arms holding both in front of him. He snapped his fists together and channeled enough chakra to activate the seal. His seals on his gloves glowed once, twice, thrice before a large dome of semi-transparent chakra materialized around the group, effectively shielding them from the outside. Both Kakashi and Kurenai were stunned at the amount of chakra Naruto released. "What are you doing, Naruto?" asked a tensed Kakashi. "This is my chakra shield. With the seals on my gloves, I can create an almost impenetrable barrier around me shielding us from any outside attacks. This way, you won't have to worry about us while you take care of Zabuza," explained Naruto while maintaining his concentration on the amount of chakra he is channeling to the gloves. He avoided telling Kakashi the time limit of his technique since the enemy might be listening. Kakashi nodded but was alerted when a voice materialized behind the chakra dome. "Oh? What is this? Do you think such a thing will protect you? Don't make a fool out of me, Konohinin," said Zabuza as he materialized behind the stunned genins. He swung his huge sword towards the dome, but was shocked when his prized Kubikiri Hacho was repelled by the chakra dome. The sword vibrated in his hand which gave evidence that the dome of chakra was indeed a solid construct, shielding the inside from him. "Oh, now this is an interesting development. It seems your brats are quite skilled, Kakashi. I want." Before he could finish the sentence, Kakashi materialized behind him and stabbed Zabuza through the spine. Unfortunately for Kakashi, the Zabuza he stabbed instantly turned into water. "Shit, water clone." Kakashi cursed. He was about to change his location when a voice from behind him stopped him in his tracks. "Yes it is. Now it's your turn, Kakashi." He swung his sword down, but stopped when a kunai embedded into his head courtesy of Kurenai. But before anyone can claim any victory, Zabuza again turned into water. Naruto saw the battle happening outside but was powerless to help. If he breaks his concentration, then the shield will dispel putting them under the mercy of the enemy. "Hinata, I want you to support Kakashi and Kurenai-sensei from here." How will I do that, Naruto-kun?" stuttered Hinata. Naruto grunted from the strain of concentrating too much on his shield. His chakra was still at acceptable levels, but taking that one hit from Zabuza's attack drained him a bit. If he wanted to hold the shield in place for long then he needs to avoid future attacks. "I want you to use your Byakugan and scout the area. Tell me how many clones are surrounding us. Do it now." Hinata nodded and activated her Byakugan. She pumped as much chakra as she could to her eyes to increase the range. Naruto-kun, there are at least 10 Zabuzas out there hiding in the mist. I'm sure one of them is the real one. Give me their location," demanded Naruto. Hinata nodded and concentrated again. "There are 2 Zabuzas behind us. One out in the lake, another at 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, and 10 o'clock respectively. There are 2 at the last location I mentioned." "Good. Here's the plan, guys. I am going to decrease the power of my chakra shield enough for you to release your attack simultaneously. I'm going to lower my shield for only 5 seconds and I'll put it back to full power. I want you to attack when I say go. Is that clear?" Everyone nodded except Sasuke. "Why should we take orders from you, dope?" growled the Uchiha. "Would you mind shutting up, Sasuke? If you want to kill your brother then we have to survive this first. Kakashi and Kurenai can't handle all those Zabuzas out there with this mist hiding them from view. If you want to die be my guest, if not then shut your trap and attack when I say so. Understood?" Naruto growled back, but this time, he released a small killer intent enough for him to maintain his concentration towards the Uchiha that definitely shut him up. Sasuke nodded, for now. Naruto continued while giving the Sasuke a glare. "Tazuna-san. Do you agree with my plan? Since you are my client and I am currently holding the shield protecting you, I need your permission to push through it." Tazuna gave the blonde-haired teen a long look. So far this boy hadn't failed him yet. Heck, he shouldn't be able to reach this far without his help back in High no Kuni. He nodded. "Go ahead, kid. Promise me that you will kick that guy's ass for me." Naruto chuckled. "Thanks, Tazuna-san. Okay everyone, when I say go I want you to release your attack simultaneously. Shino, I want you to release your bugs and locate the real Zabuza. Once you get the location, we will relay it to our senseis. While you're at it, you might want to get the other clones as well and suck their chakra out." Shino nodded. It was a good plan. "Sasuke, you will take care of the 2 behind us. Use your clan's fireball technique to blast those 2 to Kingdom Come." Sasuke nodded. "Sakura, Hinata, Kiba, inside my robe is a pocket containing one of my trap seals. I want you each to take out the yellow tags, one for each of you. I want you to hold the seals with the ink facing the target in the palm of your hand. When I give the signal, I want you to channel as much chakra as you can to the tag to release the attack I used when we fought the demon brothers." The 3 nodded. Hinata reached into Naruto's robe and couldn't help but blush when she brushed the blonde's muscles. She found the aforementioned tags and gave one each to Kiba and Sakura. "Hinata, I want you to point Kiba and Sakura in the right direction since you're the only one that can easily see through this mist." Hinata followed Naruto's instruction and helped Kiba and Sakura point their tags to their respective target. Naruto looked at his teammates. "Everyone ready?" Everyone nodded. "Good, on the count of 3. 1, 2, go." He decreased the chakra he channeled to the shield to make it almost transparent, signifying that its solidity is gone. Naruto counted. 1. Shino raised his hands and a swarm of his bugs flew out from his sleeves and flew through the mist. 2. Sasuke sped through hand seals and blew out an extra large fireball towards his target hidden in the mist. 3. Sakura, Kiba and Hinata channeled as much chakra as they could to the tags on their hand, releasing a barrage of kunes heading straight towards their hidden target. 4. Shino confirmed that he got Zabuza's location, preparing to relay it to Naruto when their strategy ends. 5. After the count, Naruto immediately snapped the shield back in place at full power. It was fortunate that he was able to do this on time, since one of the water clones that was supposed to be Sasuke's target survived and lashed out with an overhand strike that would have easily hit Tazuna. Instead, the huge sword hit the shield with a loud clang. Naruto grunted at the effort since the attack took a quarter of his reserves, leaving him at half capacity. "Damn, those clones pack quite a punch," he thought. "Shino, report," whispered Naruto. The strain of holding the shield was getting to him and the state of his chakra levels was no better. The Aburam nodded. The strategy worked, but there were a few that went awry. One of Sasuke's targets survived and he was the one who attacked your shield. Don't worry though, my insects are draining his chakra so he should dissipate right about. The clone outside the shield splashed back into a puddle of water. Not now. Kiba, Hinata, and Sakura's target was killed as well. They didn't hit it at first, but the constant barrage was able to reach them in the end. The rest of the clones should be running on empty right now, so that left the one on the lake, the real Zabuza. Naruto nodded. He was glad that his plan worked and not a moment too soon. He looked at Sakura. "Sakura, how good are you with ninjutsu? I know you've been studying and practicing the scroll that Kakashi-sensei gave you. Right? Yes. How did you know about that? Never mind. Can you cast a genjutsu over Kakashi-sensei and tell him what we did and that all he need to worry about is the Zabuza on the lake?" "I can try I guess," stuttered Sakura, not sure of herself if she can do this. Don't worry Sakura, you can do this. You're a strong kunoichi, you just need the right motivation that's all. Said Naruto in a calm and confident voice while showing the pink-haired kunoichi his true smile. Sakura blushed at the phrase and nodded. Emboldened by Naruto's encouraging words, she took a deep breath and calmed herself. She focused on what she wanted to accomplish and sped through hand seals to activate the illusion, her target, Kakashi. When she finished the seals, she released her technique. Illusion art demonic hell viewing. The jinjutsu that Sakura used was technically an offensive illusion that shows the targets their worst fears. But due to her impressive chakra control, she can overpower the neural signals enough to change the illusion as she sees fit. This technique was one from Kurenai herself which Kakashi was able to get from her for the sake of his student. Kakashi was on alert, waiting for Zabuza to attack when his vision suddenly shifted to that of a forest just outside of Konoha. Jinjutsu? Thought Kakashi. But before he could dispel the illusion, Sakura materialized in front of him. Kakashi-sensei? Illusion? Sakura asked. Sakura? Did you cast the Jinjutsu? Asked a stunned Kakashi. Yes I did. But I can't hold this for long. Please listen. Sakura relayed Naruto's plan and everything that happened behind the mist. Kakashi was stunned at his student's strategy that effectively destroyed all of Zabuza's clones while protecting the client. It was an impressive display of strategy that only he can pull off. I got it. Don't worry Sakura. Release the technique now. Me and Kurenai will take care of everything. With that, Sakura disappeared. Back in the dome, Sakura released the technique and slumped on the ground, clearly exhausted from using the Jinjutsu. Hinata immediately pulled out a solider pill and handed it to her pink-haired teammate, which she gratefully accepted and popped into her mouth. When her breathing went back to normal, Naruto addressed his concern. Sakura, what happened? Did everything go according to plan? Asked Naruto. The girl nodded. Yes. I was able to relay the message successfully, but the technique drained me. Naruto nodded. Thanks a lot Sakura. See? I told you that you can do it and I wasn't wrong. Again, Sakura blushed at the praise but remained silent. The group inside the shield tensed when the sound of battle was heard all around them. Clangs brought about by metal clashing with metal echoed throughout the clearing. After 5 minutes, the sounds of battle ended and the mist cleared up. What they saw made the Genin team go wide-eyed with fear, but Naruto narrowed his eyes in anger. On the lake was Zabuza holding Kakashi in a prison of water, while Kurenai was at the shore bleeding from a slash to the shoulder. It wasn't serious, but the blood loss was clearly affecting her. He was brought out of his observation when Kakashi shouted out from his prison. Naruto, Sasuke. I want you to take Tazuna and the rest of your team and run. Shouted Kakashi in desperation. Sensei. Screamed Sakura. This is an order. Take the client and go. Demanded Kakashi. Oh ho. No can do Kakashi. I will enjoy butchering your team right in front of your very eyes. This takes me back to the good old days. Blood flowing, people screaming in fear. Sigh. He smirked at the stunned faces of the Genins. Don't worry kids. You will meet Kami soon. But I think I'll spare the ladies. They will definitely fetch a good price. Kumo would love to get their hands on the Byakugan, and that pink-haired girl would be a grand addition to Gato's slaves. He was interrupted by a cursing Kakashi. Zabuza. You shouldn't have said the last part. What do you mean? Look in front of you. Instructed Kakashi from inside his prison. If you looked closely, you could see that he was sweating bullets from what Zabuza said. And look Zabuza did and what he saw scared the crap out of him. In front of him back at the shore was a sight that both made him gawk in fear and awe. Upon hearing Zabuza's claim on what he intended to do with his female teammates, Naruto lost it. He dropped the shield protecting them and walked out in front of the huddle despite the protest of his teammates. In a fit of anger, Naruto activated his Kamigan and his elemental orbs materialized. The only difference is that these balls were twice as large as the normal ones due to Naruto's extreme anger. He walked over to the edge of the lake and leveled an intense glare of hatred at a gawking Zabuza. Kakashi, why didn't you tell me that you have that boy with you? Huh? Now it was Kakashi's turn to be confused. Why didn't you tell me that the Kamigan no Namikaze is one of your genins? Zabuza shouted in fear. But before Kakashi can ask what his jailer was talking about, the cold voice of Naruto drifted over. Kamigan no Namikaze. I see that they have given me a name, Zabuza. Said Naruto in a cold voice. Mustering up what's left of his courage, he made a hand seal and summoned 10 clones in front of him. So what kid? It's just a name. I don't believe what the bingo book says about you. You are just a measly B rank and I'm an A rank. Zabuza ordered his clones to attack the blonde genin who was standing as if frozen on the lake shore. 2 of Zabuza's clones dashed forward and slashed at the blonde, but a wall of water suddenly materialized in front of them that blasted the 2 away. The one that was about to throw the huge sword to his right was intercepted by searing flames that instantly turned it into mist. While distracted, the rest of Zabuza's clones was able to surround him and aim their strikes in different parts of Naruto's body, but before they can reach him, Naruto slammed his hands on the ground where spikes made of earth shot out of the ground that skewered the rest of the clones which turned into water. Not waiting for Zabuza to send more clones at him, Naruto raised one of his arms, palm pointing towards Zabuza readying his attack. The 5 floating elemental orbs floated in front of him forming a circular pattern and started to spin, increasing its speed with every rotation until they became a blur. You know Zabuza, you're the second ever to see and feel this attack firsthand. The first one was the Sandaime who was able to protect himself. But of course, the attack that I sent him was a trial run you might say. But for you, you will get the completed version of my attack. Take this Zabuza. 5-point elemental drill. After Naruto shouted his technique, he released all restraint he had with his elemental orbs, signifying the start of the attack. The orbs released a thick yet highly compressed stream of water, earth, fire, wind, and lightning twisting together to form a powerful elemental drill, heading straight for Zabuza. Upon seeing Naruto unleash his ultimate technique, Kakashi was sweating bullets inside his prison, praying that the attack wouldn't hit him. Not seeing any choice, Zabuza jumped out the way praying with all his might that the attack wouldn't hit him. His prayer was answered, but the backlash when the attack hit the water was so strong that it created a huge tidal wave of water that knocked him back with such force that he thought he was inside a blender. Kakashi was lucky that he was still in the effect of the prison, so he was spared from the shockwave until the water prison dissipated and the rest of the shockwave threw him unceremoniously back to shore, besides a bleeding Kurenai. Zabuza wasn't so lucky. The force was so powerful that it knocked the wind out of him. He was sure that the pressurized water that crashed into him broke some of his ribs as well as the bones in his arms and legs. To add to the insult, he crashed hard on one of the trees in the clearing that almost made him fall into unconscious. He raised his head and saw that Naruto was walking straight at him at a calm pace, his elemental orbs swirling around him as if excited to deliver their master's punishment towards his enemy. "Any last words, Zabuza-san?" asked Naruto in a cold voice that sent shivers down his spine. "Hey, kill me kid. Why you are indeed powerful. My only regret is that I can't kill the guy who wrote your information on the bingo book. That bastard deserves to be killed for giving out false information about you." Naruto just gave him an amused look. "Zabuza-san, the information on that bingo book of yours is 2 years old. It hasn't been updated since I started training. In fact, the information there about me and my ability is seriously lacking. But for now, I will have to say goodbye, Zabuza-san." He raised his hands and was about to deliver his death blow when an ice mirror appeared beside Zabuza where a masked person took him and quickly went back to the mirror that dissolved into a puddle of water. Naruto stared in shock that Zabuza got away before he can kill him. Before he can think of anything else, his body gave out because of exhaustion. His Kamagen deactivated and fell into unconsciousness, but not before hearing someone call his name. Chapter 16 Overestimate. Kakashi looked out the window and reflected on what happened these past few days. The Genins, except for Naruto, are all down on the grounds taking the day off to recuperating while making sure that Tazuna's house is well protected from outside threats. Kurenai was in her room resting from her wounds after being patched up by Tsunami. Good thing the wound that Zabuza gave her wasn't deep or it would have taken more than a little rest to get back on her feet again. Everything that happened in the battle reflected poorly on the one-eyed Jounin's psyche. Sure, he held his own at first, but he was eventually worn down despite Naruto's useful strategy to help them out. The plan was quite simple, really. Kurenai would trap and distract Zabuza with ninjutsu while he moves in for the kill. Yes, the plan was simple, but that is the reason why everything turned into disaster. The demon of the mist fought like his namesake, a demon. Stamina, speed, strength all packed in one body for his enemies to fear. Even with his Sharingan, Zabuza's strategy with the mist nullified everything he threw at him. He must have underestimated Zabuza. He shook his head. No, he overestimated himself. He didn't notice until it was too late. The strength that he had gained during his time in Anbu was seriously declining and the result of the battle was proof of that. Because of his overestimation, Kurenai was slashed at the shoulder when she wasn't able to reach her in time to protect her from the clone behind her while she concentrated on her technique. Because of his overestimation, one of his students is suffering from extreme chakra exhaustion in the other room. Because of his overestimation, he almost cost the lives of his team. Kakashi sighed and stood up from his bed and walked out the room. Kurenai was awake and thinking. The battle with Zabuza was an eye-opener for her. She lost and she lost badly because she overestimated her skills. And it almost cost her life. She was considered a prodigy in Genjutsu, not counting the natural skills of the Uchiha and Kurama clan. Even without a bloodline, she was able to amass and master tons of genjutsu techniques that helped her rose the ranks in the Konoha shinobi system. Her skills in illusions and attacks on the mind are legendary and earned her a page in the bingo book as an A-rank ninja. However, that didn't help her one bit. During the battle, her role was simple. She was supposed to cast genjutsu after genjutsu to pin Zabuza down for Kakashi to finish up. The strategy was foolproof until that clone managed to slip her defenses and almost took her right arm by the shoulder. She realized that she overestimated her skills and it almost destroyed her. It was an easily slip really. Because she placed too much faith in her genjutsu skills, she forgot that it also has its own weakness. Ninjutsu masters were not frontline fighters. They were supposed to the support team casting their illusions at a distance while the frontline fighters finished the enemy off. Genjutsu users are supposed to be well protected by their peers in the midst of battle. That is the reason why she chose a team of trackers, putting them one step ahead of her enemies to incapacitate them. But still, she overestimated herself. She turned her head to look out the window. The sky overhead was blue with white puffy clouds littering here and there. She sighed. A knock from outside her door brought her out of her musings. Kakashi walked out of his room and went straight for Kurenai's. He realized that the battle with Zabuza will repeat in a few days and they need to get ready, that is if they want to get out of this alive. In fact, he was sure that this battle would be more intense than the first since Zabuza already knew what he's up against. He reached the door of Kurenai's room and knocked, waiting for the person inside to give him the permission to enter. "Come in," came a muffled voice of Kurenai. Kakashi opened the door and went straight to the bed where Kurenai was currently in. She was sitting using the headboard as a backrest. Her shoulder was heavily bandaged down to her elbows, a testament of the wounds that she got from the battle with the demon of the mist. She was giving him a calm stare, but he was able to see the visible doubt behind it. It seems that the battle affected Kurenai too. He sighed. "Hello Kurenai. How are you doing?" he asked a red-eyed jounin. She shrugged. "Doing well, I suppose. With the wounds I have, it would take me 2 days to fully heal and another day or so to get my strength back to peak performance. How about you?" "Good. My chakra level is almost back to full so I can now get out of bed and walk around," he replied with fake cheer. Both were silent for a time, searching for the right words to say to the other. Kakashi sighed. He might as well get this over with. "I'm sorry," said Kakashi. Kurenai snapped her head back to Kakashi from looking out the window. She was genuinely confused. "Sorry? Why in the world are you sorry?" I wasn't able to protect you during the battle. Our roles were set but I wasn't able to." He was interrupted when Kurenai raised her hand to stop him. "No need to apologize Kakashi. The battle was an eye-opener for me. I'm a genjutsu mistress for crying out loud, so standing in the middle of an active battlefield is a breach in protocol. I should have hidden myself while you draw Zabuza out and attack from there, but I got overconfident with my skills that I made myself defenseless. I overestimated my skills and that almost got me killed," explained Kurenai in a defeated voice. Kakashi nodded. "Fine. But I'm still sorry. I know about your specialization's weakness and I should have taken it into account. Same as you, I also overestimated my skills that almost killed us and our team," Kakashi said sullenly. Kurenai chuckled. "You know what's funny? Here we are, the Jounins of Konohagakure no Sato was kicked so hard in the ass that we both landed on the bed. In truth, both of us would be dead by now if not for your student." Kakashi also chuckled at the irony. "Yes, how could I forget? Naruto definitely saved us that day, but the rest of the team also contributed equally as well. But if it weren't for his plan, everyone in that clearing would be either dead or permanently incapacitated." "How is he by the way?" Kurenai asked, concern lining her face. "He's okay. No wounds or bruises, just plain chakra exhaustion. He really strained himself during the battle. Holding the shield in place, an ingenious piece of work if I do say so myself, protected everyone, came up with a sound plan to help us, and kicking Zabuza in 3 places at once. Indeed, he really made an impact out there didn't he?" "But he did. What he did was amazing. For the past 3 days since we left Konoha, Naruto has been displaying skills that far surpassed his peers. First his bloodline which is versatile and powerful, his sealing skills that could rival Jiraiya-sama, his tactical mind and leadership skills, and not to mention those useful summon of his." Kakashi barked out a laugh. "He is incredible isn't he?" Then his face saddened. "But he did it all by himself." Kurenai gave him a confused look. "What do you mean he did it all by himself? Aren't you supposed his Jounin sensei? Don't tell me you didn't know any of his skill set." "Honestly, I don't. There is a lot about Naruto I don't know. It's not because he didn't share it with me." He hesitated telling her the next part. "It's because that I haven't been a sensei for him." "What do you mean Kakashi?" Kurenai said sharply, having an idea where this is going. Kakashi sighed. I already know Naruto since I was still in Anbu, in fact, I was either his bodyguard or his sparring partner. During the day of the team assignment, he recognized me and introduced himself to me with cheer and happiness. However, after the genin test, it all disappeared until to the point that I don't see any glimpse of it in his face. Again Kakashi, explain. Stop speaking in riddles. Get to the point. Fine. I'll explain. You already know the council and the village's view of Sasuke, right? The last loyal Uchiha. Of course, who wouldn't know about him? What does Sasuke have to do with it? Asked a confused Kurenai. Simple, after the genin test, the civilian council called me to a meeting and ordered me to teach the last loyal Uchiha to make him strong for the village. Said Kakashi bitterly. So? Isn't it normal for a Jounin sensei to teach their charges? She asked, but when she saw Kakashi's sullen looks, she continued. There is more to this, isn't there? Yes, they want me to concentrate 100% of my time with Sasuke and disregard 2 of my charges. Heck, even Councilman Haruno told me to forget his daughter and only asked to give her some books to read. What? It's true. To be honest with you, I would have loved to teach them all equally, it is my code after all. But because of the council's noose tied around my neck, I was forced to follow their orders. Kakashi looked down at the last part, depression hovering around him like a plague. Kurenai sighed. This was not the first time that the civilian council went behind everyone's back to make a mess of things. The worst part of all is that the Shinobi Council and Hokage don't have enough power to stop it. She knew all about politics and it sickened her how the civilian council was able to slowly drain the Shinobi Council and Hokage of its power in the village. What's worst is that the Hokage allowed all this to happen. So what are you planning to do now? Asked Kurenai, hoping that her Jounin partner has a plan. Kakashi shook his head. For the first time in my life, I felt powerless. I don't know what to do. Both Jounins just hung their heads down in disappointment. Teammate was currently in Tazuna's backyard discussing the battle that happened yesterday. It was intense for the 3 rookie genins. It was definitely different from the history books they read from the academy. All the glory stories from well-known shinobis haven't prepared them for it. They were honest to themselves, they would have been killed. Hinata, as always, was thinking of Naruto. She has always admired him since the academy. There was an aura of power and kindness around him that attracted her. The admiration easily turned into infatuation before it evolved into a full-blown crush. Her eyes, Byakugan or no, was always trained on him, studying him, analyzing him, admiring him. Sure, it was stalker-like of her to do so in the shadows, but she couldn't help it. Biba thought of the battle and came into an undeniable conclusion. He almost died along with his teammate. If it wasn't for their blonde-haired teammate, Zabuza would have chopped them to pieces. When he saw both Kakashi and Kurenai-sensei incapacitated in battle, he was gripped with uncontrollable fear that he was going to die that day. But his fear turned to awe when he saw Naruto took charge of the situation and, to put it simply, kicked Zabuza's ass from here to the moon. He would never admit it in public, but deep inside, he knew that he was weak and Naruto was strong. The battle was proof of that. Shino was also deep in thought, but his focus was not on the battle, but the outcome of it. He could never deny the logical fact that they all survived because of the action of one boy. No man. Naruto saved them, that's the only logical answer. At first, he just ignored the blonde genin, since there was nothing about him that warrants his attention. He respected him as a person, sure, but other than that nothing. However, when Naruto took charge of the battle with his thought-on-the-spot strategy, the bug user was deeply impressed. The strategy was well thought out with enough room to maneuver in case things got out of hand. It also looked like that Naruto knew about their skill set, so he was able to devise a plan to get them out of the mess. There was more to him than meets the eyes. This warrants more observation and starting from now on, Naruto definitely earned more than his respect. The silence was broken around the 3 when Hinata spoke. Shino-san, why did you call us out here? Stuttered Hinata. Yes Shino, is this a team meeting or something? Asked Kiba while he was petting Akamaru sleeping on his lap. Shino nodded and pushed his sunglasses to the bridge of his nose to put it in place. I called you here to discuss the battle. It was intense, wasn't it? I really believed that I was going to die when I saw our sensei all bloodied on the ground. Admitted a sullen Kiba. It was thanks to Naruto-san though. His strategy worked and was able to win the battle for our side. Said Shino. Hinata and Kiba both nodded. Man. Naruto sure kicked ass. Did you see his moves? They were amazing. Exclaimed an excited Kiba, waking Akamaru up but went back to sleep. Yes. It seems Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto is the strongest among us, as well as the rest of Rookie 9. My only question is why he didn't show such competence during the academy years. Asked Shino. I think I know. Whispered Hinata. Both Kiba and Shino looked at her, waiting for her to continue. Seeing that their attention was on her, Hinata continued. I don't really know anything really about Naruto-kun, but I have observed him during the academy. It seems that he hid his skills from us, only bringing them out when needed. He is calm, collected, and smart. No one ever calls him a genius, but I can see that he is one, but he kept it well hidden. Shino nodded. Yes, there is no other logical explanation. But the question is. Why? I think Naruto hid his skills as a shinobi should. Admitted Kiba. Shino rose an eyebrow at this. Really? Please explain. It's simple really. We all know that shinobis are masters of deception, and I think Naruto took that to heart. We all know that he is strong, and it is only obvious that he knows that he is strong too. So I think he hid his skills back in the academy because he doesn't want to announce his skills to his potential enemies and not making everyone else feel inferior. Explained Kiba. He remembered the time that Naruto was being friendly with the entire class. He helped them whenever he could. No harsh words or mocking slights ever left his mouth. He did the total opposite. He encouraged everyone that needed help and spent time with people making friends. It took him a death-defying battle to realize that. You have a point there Kiba-san. But I don't understand his thoughts on the matter. Pushed Shino. Shino-san, I think the only person who can answer that question is Naruto-kun himself. I mean, it is not right for us to pry into his life, but if he wants to share it with us then it is okay. Whispered Hinata. Shino nodded. He wouldn't disrespect Naruto by spying on him. Yes, he will ask him when the time is right. Sakura was deep in thought. The battle with Zabuza scared her. No, it terrified her. This was the life she has chosen, but why is she afraid to face it? She looked at his fellow teammate practicing his taijutsu. Uchiha Sasuke, the hottest student in the academy, a prodigy of a powerful clan, handsome, mysterious, manly. Yes, Uchiha Sasuke was her crush and desire, but the question is. Why isn't she feeling any of it right now as she looked at him? Naruto's question echoing in the confines of her mind. What motivates you to become strong? If Sakura was honest with herself, she chose to attend the shinobi program for only one reason, to be with Uchiha Sasuke. Sure, she was smart, she aced every test. Ask her anything in the book, she will give you a textbook answer. When she asked Naruto's help to become strong, her goal was to impress Sasuke. Simple as that. She was determined to become strong for him. But why does it all sound hollow now? During the battle, she saw how Naruto took charge of the situation and put his life on the line to save them. He even dropped his animosity of Sasuke and asked for his help to help them get out of it alive. She could see on his face that it took a lot of effort to maintain that shield of his, and she was grateful for it. She almost screamed when she saw the huge sword coming right at them, but was surprised when it harmlessly bounced off the shield Naruto created. He saw the grunt Naruto inadvertently released when the sword hit the dome. It was hurting him and she knows nothing to help. She realized that there is more to being a shinobi than books and impressing your instructors or your crush. In fact, the battle was a real eye-opener for her. Shinobi battles can be summarized into 4 simple words: kill or be killed. And that scared her. It was time. Her eyes suddenly burned with determination. It was time to talk to Naruto again. This time, she will give him the right answer. Naruto woke up with a splitting headache. He groaned as his muscles ached when he moved. He looked around and saw that he was in someone else's room, judging from the furniture and stuff around him. A voice in his mind interrupted his observation. Glad to see that you're awake. Hi Ubi? Asked Naruto. No, it's the Tooth Fairy. Duh, who do you think can talk to you in your mind? Kyuubi said sarcastically. Sorry, I'm still out of it I guess. What happened? Asked a sheepish Naruto. Well, it seems that you don't remember. I'll summarize it for you kid. You kicked Zabuza's ass. Now that battle was something. A bit excessive, but it was still good nonetheless. It could have used more blood though if you ask me. He added the last part as an afterthought. Well, excuse me for being hyped up in the moment of battle. Grouched Naruto, insulted that his skills wasn't noteworthy for the great Kyuubi no Kitsune sealed in his gut. I didn't mean it as an insult, brat. Anyway, you were about to finish Zabuza off when that mysterious kid came in to save him, then you passed out. The dark-haired girl patched you up real good and the dog boy carried all the way to your client's house, and here you are. How long was I out? 2 days. Now that got Naruto's attention. What? Why did it take so long for me to recover from simple chakra exhaustion? I usually just fill it back up in the matter of hours. Asked a shocked Naruto. Kyuubi just rolled his eyes at the outburst. Sure kid. That is what usually happens when you go into chakra exhaustion. But you did something stupid and amazing at the same time during the battle. Kyuubi said in an amused voice. Stupid and amazing at the same time? Now you're confusing me. Naruto didn't know if he was being insulted or complimented by the fox. Stupid humans. Okay, let me explain it to you. When you disengaged the shield and battled Zabuza, your chakra reserves were already less of an 8 of your overall reserves. That would make you an average genin in chakra level. With that amount, you could only sustain your bloodline for about 10 minutes or so. However, because of your blind rage, you pushed out more chakra than what you currently have, you overworked the Shinigami seal on your stomach and increased the conversion of my chakra to your chakra. You didn't just suffer from chakra exhaustion, you suffered from chakra overload. You were lucky that you didn't blow up. Kyuubi explained with an exasperated growl. He was watching the battle with interest when the sudden surge of chakra from him to the seal scared him. He felt more and more chakra come out of him from the seal into Naruto's chakra circulator system. Due to his limited control on the boy's body, he can't do anything but watch, praying to Kami that the boy's action wouldn't kill them both. That was the only time that Kyuubi felt fear for his own life, and that was something he didn't want to feel again. Okay, I got the stupid part. What about the amazing part? Naruto was shaking now. He didn't know that he almost died back there. He thanked Kami that he was still alive. Well, chakra overload have two possible outcomes. 1. You blow up and erase everything around you from the discharge. Imagine 50 exploding tags in a single place. Boom. Everyone turns to ash. However, you suffered from the second case, you expanded your chakra coils. Kyuubi paused from his explanation to add a little bit of drama. I would like to congratulate you in successfully absorbing 2 tails worth of my chakra, making your overall reserves twice of that of a cage level shinobi added to your previous one. So now, you are a walking power plant of chakra. Good job, you idiot. If you put me through that again, I'm going to flood you with so much chakra that you will light up like a miniature sun. Threatened the great beast with a deep growl. Naruto gulped. Whoa. Back up a bit. What did you mean I increased my chakra reserves? How did that happen? He knew about chakra exhaustion of course, since the old man warned him all about it, but the chakra overload thing was a mystery to him. So you want to get technical, I see, I guess I can humor you. Get on with it. Growled an irritated Naruto. Sheesh, humans are so impatient. Well, considering your puny lifespan, I guess you humans have to do everything in a hurry. Naruto growled at the annoying fox. Kyuubi grinned. To give you the technical explanation on what happened, with the sudden influx of my converted chakra into your system by unknowingly getting it from the seal, you forced your already impressive chakra coil to expand. The massive influx of chakra forced your chakra coils to expand twice its size to accommodate the tidal surge of chakra flowing through your system. It is a permanent deal. Once it happens, your chakra coil expands permanently and stays that way. The amazing thing about the whole phenomenon is you still haven't reached your peak yet and your coils will continue to expand. I estimate that your overall chakra capacity when you reach your prime would be somewhere in between 4-5 tails worth of my own. You can even take on the 5-tailed gobi if you really wanted to. Impressive. You are either suicidal or a lucky bastard. So what happens now? Well, all I can say is that your new reserves will take some time to get used to. Your chakra control is shot, I would say you are back to genin level chakra control, but I'm sure you can get it back to your previous level with your shadow clone training. Naruto groaned. I guess this means I'm back to square one. This is going to be a long mission. Be thankful, kid. Either that or you meet Kami after you blow up. If you ask me, I prefer the former. Gee, thanks for the vote of confidence, you sadistic fox. I aim to please. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm going to take a nap. Between absorbing 2 tails worth of my chakra and regulating your coil's growth, I'm pooped. So for now, good night. Don't disturb me if it's not important. With that, Kyuubi severed the mind link and Naruto was left alone to his thoughts. Considering that he wasn't fully healed yet, he went back to sleep hoping that all will be well tomorrow. Time skipped 3 days after battle with Zabuza. Naruto woke up to the smell of delicious food wafting up from below the house. He shook himself awake and looked out the window and estimated that it is already noon. From the looks of it, he overslept and woke up a day after his conversation with Kyuubi. He shook his head and threw off the blanket. He blushed when he discovered that he was almost naked except for his boxers. Shit, I wonder who undressed me. His thoughts wandered to Hinata or Sakura. But what made him turn into a tomato is the idea of Kurenai removing his clothes and doing nasty things to him while he was knocked out. He shook his head vigorously trying to get the perverted thought out of his head. Damn it. The old man's dirty mind is starting to get to me. He got off the bed and saw that his gear was neatly folded on top of the lone table in the middle of the room. He first went to the bathroom to take a short bath, then went over this gear and put it on, lavishing the feel of it on his skin. When he got out of the door, he saw that he was on the 2nd floor of the house, so he followed the hallway and went downstairs and followed the delicious smell to the kitchen, where he saw a beautiful middle-aged woman with jet black hair wearing a pink dress. She was busy cooking on the stove and didn't notice his entrance. He coughed to get her attention. The woman turned quickly and gave him a warm smile. I see that you're awake. You've been sleeping for 3 days now. How are you feeling? Fine. I'm Naruto, and you miss. Oh, how rude of me. My name is Tsunami. I already know who you are. My father told me all about you. You are part of the team my father hired to protect him while he completes the bridge. The woman who introduced herself as Tsunami gave him a warm smile which he happily returned. You're Tezuna's daughter? Said Naruto with a dumbfounded look on his face. He couldn't believe that this beautiful woman was that old man's daughter. How in the world did that drunkard get so lucky? Tsunami giggled when she saw the disbelief on his face when she introduced herself. She gets that all the time. Anyway, I guess you're hungry right now, 3 days of no food and all. Why don't you take a seat and I'll serve you something to eat? She gestured towards the table. Naruto's stomach growled and nodded. He walked to the table and took a seat. He looked around and saw that the interior was quite homey. It was simple, but there was a feel to it that seems to radiate love and contentment. It made him feel at home. Where is everyone? Are they alright? Asked Naruto with concern lacing his voice. Tsunami answered him while she was pulling out a plate from the cabinet and started to put food on it. Your teammates are out right now, the one-eyed sensei of yours told me that they were going to do some training. The red-eyed sensei, I think Kurenai her name was, is all healed up from her wound. Everyone else just took their rest for a day to get back into shape. In fact, Kurenai-san just woke up this morning after resting for 3 days and immediately joined the rest out in the woods for training. She placed the food in front of Naruto. Eat first before you join them, okay? You haven't eaten anything for 3 days and it's not good for you. Naruto nodded his thanks and dug into the food that Tsunami served him. The simple act may not be much, but he felt a sudden pang in his heart. This must be how it feels to have a mother that cares for you. He thought. The food was pretty good. He knew how to cook of course, but he was nothing compared to Tsunami's expertise in the arts of cooking. He thought of asking her for some recipes, but he decided to do it later when all the hubbub died down. He finished the plate in record-breaking time. He found out that he was hungry and his stomach growled for another plate. With an embarrassed smile, he asked for seconds. Tsunami just graced him with a warm smile and filled his plate up again and told him that there are still plenty for him to go around. After finishing his second plate, he thanked Tsunami for the meal, then left the house towards the woods. When he got out of the house, he forgot that to ask for directions where his teammates were going to train. He sighed and released a large chakra pulse and tried to sense the familiar chakra signature of his team. The pulse returned revealing that Team 7 and 8 was exactly 500 meters west of the house, so he took a deep breath and headed in that direction. As he walked, Naruto was busy checking out his current chakra reserves to see how much damage it made to his overall control. The amount of chakra he currently have in his body was amazing. It was like Kyuubi said, it was enormous. He easily dwarfed the old man's own level or anyone in Konoha for that matter. Now all he needed to do was find out how much he needs to practice to get his previous control back. He raised his hand to the side and manipulated his chakra to form his trusted blade. It immediately appeared, but the size was definitely off. Instead of getting a 4-foot blade, the blade that he formed was around 8 feet. Shit. My control is screwed. This might take a while to get used to. Cursed Naruto as he tried to remember the different chakra control exercises he had at his disposal to correct the problem. He allowed the blade to dissipate and sighed again. This is going to take a lot of work. He heard a bunch of noise when he neared the clearing that his teammates were supposed to be training. When he got there, he saw that the group was doing tree walking chakra control. Sasuke, Shino, and Kiba were busy running up the tree, though they disengaged when the chakra to their feet were cut off and tried again. Sakura and Hinata seemed to have mastered the exercise, since both their expertise involved chakra control. From the looks of things, Kakashi and Kurenai instructed them to run up and down to improve their reserves to add to their basic strength. Naruto stepped into the clearing and greeted everyone. Hi guys. What's up? Shouts of Naruto, you're awake and how have you been? Echoed throughout the clearing at the same time. Naruto winced at the volume. Hey. Cool down guys. I'm good. Sleeping for 3 days shot my chakra back to full capacity. So, what did I miss? Asked Naruto with his usual cheerfulness. Nothing much, Kurenai-sensei and Kakashi-sensei wanted us to be trained since they think that Zabuza will come back to finish the job. Shrugged Kiba. Naruto nodded. It was a sound strategy. Get stronger while the enemy heals, then hope to defeat them during the rematch. So what have you been guys doing to get stronger? I asked them to do the tree walking exercise to improve the control over their chakra. If they get it on time then we will move on to water walk. The boys are still trying to master tree walking right now. The girls already mastered the exercise but are still doing it for the sake of increasing their small reserves before moving on to the next level. Now that you're here, you can join them. Said Kurenai. Great. Cheered Naruto. Good timing too, since my chakra control is shot because I got a slight boost of chakra after the battle. The revelation shocked Kurenai and Kakashi while the rest just got a confused look on their face. Naruto was already a chakra powerhouse according to Kakashi. If he got a boost, then who knows how big his current reserves are. How did it happen, Naruto? Everyone was listening on the conversation, even Sasuke. Naruto decided to reveal his condition, but not everything. He needed to hide Kyuubi's involvement for now. I'm not really sure, but I think I overloaded my coils during the battle. I read from the book that I suffered from chakra overload. Basically, I flooded my coils with so much chakra that it was forced to expand. The theory relates to the Hachiman gates. I think I accidentally opened one of them during my anger. So now, my coils are permanently twice the old one, and I got more chakra from the whole thing. Well, if I didn't get it, then the other result would have been devastating. He winced at the last part. He really was thankful that he didn't blow up as Kyuubi explained the whole technical side of the phenomenon. What do you mean? Asked Shino. Well, I was lucky that I got the rare case to happen to me during chakra overload. However, if I didn't have Kami's luck, then I would have blown up and taken you all with me. Everyone shivered at the thought. It wasn't a pleasant way to go. Now that everything is explained and Naruto is up and running, then why don't you guys continue with the exercise? Advised an overly happy Kakashi. The genins except for Naruto groaned. Naruto was definitely struggling with the tree walking exercise. Sure, he already mastered this before, but doing it again with an even greater amount of chakra flowing through his body only made it a tad more challenging. He was blown off the tree, splintering the trunk when he channeled too much chakra. He crashed on the ground, leaving an imprint of his body. This left Naruto pissed that he has to start the hard work over again. Everyone was trying to stifle their amusement while Sasuke just gave him an arrogant smirk, thinking that Naruto was just lying about what he said before. Well, that pissed him a whole lot more. He stood up and brushed the dirt off his clothes. He glared at the innocent-looking tree and did a single-hand seal and shouted. Page Bunshin no Jutsu. Everyone's amusement and Sasuke's arrogant smirk slid from their face when 100 Naruto shadow clones appeared on the clearing. Okay boys. You know the drill. Pick a tree and hop to it. Ordered a pissed-off Naruto. After a huge shout of yes boss that could be heard from the other side of wave, the entire clearing was filled to the brim with Narutos doing tree walking exercise, some falling off, some slowly trudging up, while most were blown off like what happened to Naruto earlier. It was a comical sight, but for the genins and jounins, it was downright remarkable. What the hell happened? Shouted Kiba as he sported a dumbfounded expression on his face at the sight of 100 Narutos. What? Asked Naruto, facing Kiba, giving him a questioning look. What are those things and why are they doing your exercise? Asked Kiba while pointing an accusing finger at the busy clones. Oh, those are shadow clones. It is a Konoha forbidden technique that is known only to the Hokage. I learned it during my training since it was part of the training schedule that my dad left me in a letter. The technique was forbidden because it requires a massive amount of chakra just to make one. They aren't illusion. They are all solid. Naruto demonstrated by slapping one of the clones on the head who returned it while giving the original a glare. The original Naruto just rubbed his sore head and apologized to the smug clone. See? Solid. Also, another bonus ability of shadow clones is that they pass what they learn over to the original after they dispel, making them perfect tools for spying, infiltration, information gathering, and to those with huge chakra reserves like me, training. So this way, I can get the exercise done quickly with 100 of me gaining the same experience. Although I only get the mental part of the training and not the physical. Neat huh? Explained Naruto cheerfully. When Sasuke heard this, he plowed his way towards Naruto. Dope. I demand you to teach me that technique. I need to gain power and kill him. Demanded an overly irate and jealous Sasuke. Everyone was shocked that Sasuke just demanded a technique just like that. Kakashi just shook his head while Kurenai was glaring daggers at him. Naruto lifted an eyebrow when Sasuke demanded to teach him his technique. I think it is time to bring him down a peg or two. Thought the blonde. Sure Sasuke, I'll be happy to teach you this technique. Kakashi was about to forbid him to do it due to the risk, but he raised his hand to stop him. He gave him a smirk before returning his gaze towards the smug Uchiha. The first step of this technique is to have the same chakra reserves that I do. Well, do you? Of course dope. I'm stronger than you. Teach me the technique now. Naruto just quirked a smile at this. Sasuke was acting like a kid wanting to have candy for breakfast. Sure. But first let's see if you have the chakra for this technique. I can easily do this technique and summon thousands of clones without getting winded. I think Kakashi-sensei can do around 2 with his current chakra. Naruto did a single-hand seal. If you can match my chakra then I will teach you. Here, I'll even show you how much chakra I have. With that, Naruto released his restraint on his coils and willed his chakra to come forth all of it. Nothing happened at first, but suddenly, a pillar of blue chakra erupted from Naruto's body that almost blew everyone off the field. Naruto was covered from head to toe with potent blue chakra that reached up to the heavens. Still releasing his chakra, he looked at a stunned Sasuke. So Sasuke, do the same seal I did and pump out as much chakra as you can. As you can see, this is the amount of chakra I have in my body. Why don't you release yours so we can compare? If you equal or exceed mine then I will teach you the Kage Bunshin. Offered a smirking Naruto. Everyone, except Sasuke, looked at Naruto as if he was crazy. The amount of chakra he released was stronger than that of a cage. All of them doubted Sasuke could pull that off. They just shook their heads and waited for the inevitable. Sasuke was confident that he can easily outmatch Naruto in chakra levels. After all, he is an Uchiha, so it is only natural that he is the best. He followed the same hand seal as Naruto and released all the chakra in his body. What happened was a disappointment. Sasuke's light blue chakra erupted from his body, but it was nowhere near comparable to Naruto. The chakra he emitted was easily Chunin level, but it is nothing to what Naruto was giving out. Naruto saw this and decided to comment. See Sasuke. You don't enough chakra to pull of this technique. If you perform Kage Bunshin at this stage of your growth, then you will surely pass out from exhaustion. Heck, even if you manage a single clone, it wouldn't even last a full 10 seconds with the chakra supply you have. Kage Bunshin is not a simple technique since you pump as much chakra into the clones to both create and sustain them. Sasuke held his ground for 5 more minutes before cutting off the exercise and fell to the floor, gasping for breath. Naruto just smirked and recalled all the chakra he released. He walked over to a vacant tree, but not before looking over his shoulder towards the panting teen. Just remember this Sasuke. All my techniques are part of the Namikaze Uzumaki clan, so there is no way you can force me to teach anyone. I will teach who I want, when I want and you have no say in the matter. It was an hour later that a happy Naruto was able to gain back a part of his previous chakra control by mastering tree walking, much to the envy of Shino, Kiba, and Sasuke. He created another 100 clones and told them to go to the lake and practice water walking, while he created 2 more clones so he can help his teammates, which also includes the breeding Uchiha. He instructed Shino, Kiba, and Sasuke that they were not distributing chakra properly. Instead of running up, he advised them to lie on the ground at the base of the tree, with their feet parallel to the trunk. He told them to stick a foot to the tree and channel chakra until they feel that it is indeed sticking to the wood. He advised them to cut off the chakra, then apply it again. After mastering this phase of the exercise, he instructed them to slowly walk up from their position while maintain a calm mind to help them focus better. Slowly, all 3 boys walked up the tree until they reached the top. He called them down and instructed them on the next part. Now guys, walking and running are quite different. The usual instruction in tree walking is to run until you get used to it, but I found out that doing the exercise I taught you can help let you focus chakra to your feet faster. Once you get the feel of it, you can start running up and see if you have improved. Now hop to it. Groaning, all 3 boys took up their stances and ran up the tree while maintaining their focus. Everyone was surprised, except Naruto, when all boys easily ran up the tree. Now the next step. Okay guys, the next step is to run up and down the tree. Once you got that down, I want you to increase your speed in running. This will help you get used to the constant change of channeling chakra to your legs and feet. Once you master this, it should be second nature to you. Naruto shouted over to the 3 running boys. Everyone could hear the massive groan from the boys as they continued to follow Naruto's instruction. Chapter 17 A Helping Hand. It has been a week since the battle with Zabuza and Naruto has been busy training with the rest of his teammates. Since he already mastered tree walking and water walking. Again, he moved to his own training since there was nothing his senseis can really teach him in terms of ninjutsu, jinjutsu, or taijutsu. This is why Naruto is now in a secluded clearing a little distant from Tazuna's house practicing with Kazahime. While he was flowing from one stance to another, his thoughts drifted back to the meeting he had with the rest of the team last night, as well as his confrontation with Tsunami's son, Inari. Flashback. Team 7 and 8 along with their Jounin sensei was in the kitchen having an impromptu meeting regarding the potential battle in the future. Kakashi theorized that the massive injuries that Zabuza sustained in the hands of Naruto would take at least 2 weeks to heal, but they would exercise caution by assigning some of them to look out for Tazuna every time he goes out to work on the bridge. At least one Jounin sensei would be present and guarding the client plus 2 genins. They decided to team up Naruto and Kiba, Shino and Hinata, and Sasuke with Sakura. The team was decided according to individual skills that are compatible with each other. I would expect that we have 5 to 7 days more for Zabuza to heal up and finally launch an attack on the bridge to kill Tazuna. All of your current training will have to continue to make sure that it would give you a good chance to survive and bring down the enemy," said Kakashi. Kurenai continued Kakashi's train of thought. Also, it is quite possible that Zabuza would be bringing in reinforcements considering the firepower we have at our disposal. She locked her gaze at Naruto who was trying not to get embarrassed at the direct jab over his Kamagen. We need to come up with a plan to prepare the place of battle, just in case their numbers is too much for us to handle, so any ideas? I'm not sure if it would work, but we could make use of my other trap seal just in case if the numbers is too much for us to handle. Suggested Naruto while deep in thought. Kakashi looked at Naruto, curious about the suggestion. What do you mean trap seal? Are you talking about the one you used in the battle with Zabuza? Yes and no. Yes, because the concept is similar, and no, it is totally different. He pulled out the white seal tag from his pocket and laid it down on the table for all to see. Everyone was eyeing it with curiosity. This is the other trap seal that I designed that is similar to the one on my gloves. Instead of firing the projectile in the pointed direction, this trap tag fires the weapons at specific intervals in all direction. Perfect 360 degrees projectile attack. All is needed is to give it enough chakra for it to keep firing, or until it runs out of projectiles. Naruto explained proudly. Kakashi and Kurenai were impressed. The advantage of such a seal will easily tip the tide to their favor in any battle. Now the only problem is where to place them. That is a very good idea, Naruto. All we need to do is to decide where to place these tags to get the most out of it. Naruto tapped his chin with a finger. I think we can easily set up the battlefield to our favor by making sure that the trap seals are near the place where Tazuna is located. If I base it on what I read on the history books, Zabuza and Gato would likely attack at the end of the bridge since Tazuna would be there. He is their target after all. Kakashi pondered on that for a moment before nodding. Good thinking, Naruto. I think it would be best to place the trap at night to make sure you aren't found out. Shino raised his hands that interrupted Kakashi. Yes, Shino. Shino coughed a bit when everyone's attention was trained on him. I would like to add to that plan. It is logical to have either Hinata or me assist Naruto as a lookout once he placed the traps to make sure that the coast is clear and eliminate the chance of discovery. Hinata's Byakugan or my insects can keep a lookout on the perimeter to make sure that no one can see Naruto as he places and hides the traps. Kurenai nodded. That is a pretty good idea, Shino. Glad you thought of it. Shino nodded at the praise. She looked at everyone. Let's go with that plan. Every evening starting tonight, Naruto and Hinata or Shino will go to the bridge and lay down the trap. Make sure it is well hidden. Shino or Hinata will be on lookout. If the attack doesn't happen the next day, Naruto will recycle the trap to the newest section of the bridge in preparation for the next day. Explained Kurenai. Since that part is over and done with, no, we need to discuss a strategy to deal with Zabuza and his goons when the attacks do happen. My plan is quite simple but is open to suggestion. Me and Naruto will directly confront Zabuza. Since Zabuza is a Kenjutsu user, Naruto can confront him easily, but it is best not to underestimate him. I will provide enough distractions or potential one-hit kill attacks when a hole in his defense appears. Any questions so far? Asked Kakashi while eyeing everyone in the group. He saw that Sasuke wanted to say something, so he nodded towards him. Why is the dope going with you? I should be the one to confront Zabuza. Said Sasuke with a scowl on his face. Kakashi just shook his head at the absurdity of the thought. Simple really, Sasuke, you don't have background nor experience in Kenjutsu. Naruto here has trained with some of my friends in Anbu regarding his sword style, so I would say that he is pretty good with it if he can handle two of them at the same time. Another is you don't have the Sharingan yet, so you will not be able to help much except for throwing your fire techniques everywhere. Sasuke fumed at the insult, but he just kept quiet. Okay, let me continue. Kurenai, Sasuke and Hinata will take care of any other party that Zabuza brings with him. Kurenai will provide long-range support through her illusions and incapacitate the opponents. Sasuke will rotate between mid-range ninjutsu or short-range taijutsu depending on the situation. And Hinata will provide scouting using her Byakugan or additional short-range taijutsu attacks with Sasuke. You think that you two can handle that? Asked Kakashi while eyeing a grinning Sasuke and a shy Hinata who both nodded in affirmative. Good. Next, Sakura and Shino will protect Azuna while on the bridge. Shino will be able to utilize his bugs for attack, defense, and reconnaissance. Sakura will provide short-range support. She can use her illusions to trap incoming opponents for a short while before Shino can take care of it. Well, that's what I got so far. Any other suggestions? Finished Kakashi. Kakashi-sensei, if we do trigger the trap tags I placed on the bridge, I want everyone to huddle up to me so I can activate my barrier to protect everyone. Trust me when I say it is needed. Suggested Naruto. Why is that? Asked Shino with a raised eyebrow. Simple, I designed that trap seal to make sure that there are no holes in the projectile trajectory. When I say perfect 360 degrees attack, then you are looking at kunes or shurikens traveling at insane speed in every direction. There are no holes except under the tag, of course. He added the last part with a cheeky grin. That is understandable. I want you to demonstrate to the group how this trap tag of yours work so we will know what to look out for when it is activated. instructed Kakashi. We can also use Tazuna as a rendezvous point when it is time to activate Naruto's tags. This way, we can protect everyone at the time. Quipped Sakura. Kakashi nodded. Good idea, Sakura. Glad you thought of that. Sakura blushed at the praise. Before anyone could say anything, Inari walked into the kitchen and glared at everyone. Why are you all trying so hard? Don't you see that Geto is invincible? You're all going to die if you fight him. Shouted the livid boy. We are ninja, kid. We can handle a two-bit thug like Geto easily. Boasted Kiba, and Akamaru barked to support Kiba's claim. No. You're all going to die. He is just too strong. Shouted Inari, this time tears leaking from his eyes. As if. I'm an Uchiha, so this Geto is no match against me. Sasuke boasted with an arrogant smirk while giving the boy a look of disdain. Naruto just looked at the boy and saw the sadness and utter despair in the boy's eyes. He remembered the story that Tsunami told him about Kanzai, Inari's stepfather, who died fighting Geto to protect the citizens of Wave. Since that day, Inari retreated into a depressed shell and has been talking back at everyone who was thinking on defying the tyrant businessman. Inari, you really think that? Whispered Naruto, but it can be easily heard by everyone in the room. Yes. You people shouldn't be here. You are just going to die. You don't understand what we went through. Those who fought Geto died. You are all going to die. Shouted a crying Inari. No, Inari. It is you who don't understand. We know what you are going through right now. Shut up. You don't know anything about us. You people didn't suffer as we did in the hands of Geto. Kakashi and Kurenai froze at the declaration and looked at Naruto, waiting for him to lash out at the clearly distressed kid. What they saw was a calm Naruto who was giving the boy a sympathetic gaze. Tell me, Inari, what do you know about the life of a shinobi? Asked a calm Naruto. Inari just shook his head in negative. You are not the only one who knows suffering, Inari. The life of a shinobi is no easy life. We are always brought into the face of danger, and every day is a challenge just to stay alive. Take Sasuke over there for example, he lost. Naruto took a deep breath and braced himself on what he is about to say next. You say we don't know suffering, Inari? Well, what do you know of my life? I was raised without any parents, an orphan. I never knew the identity of my parents. I was only told 2 years ago who they were. I was left in an orphanage despite who my father was. I was kicked out of said orphanage at the age of 4. I was glared at every day, mobs after mobs would try to kill me. Dozens of assassins appear in my apartment almost every night trying to get rid of me. One day every year, the entire village would bring out their weapons and chase me all around the village trying to maim me. Now tell me, Inari, don't you think I know suffering? At least you have your mother and grandfather to take care of you. You have a nice home to shelter you and their love to sustain you. I have none of it and you think I don't know suffering? Naruto ended his tirade, leveling a cold glare at a clearly shaken boy. Inari couldn't take it anymore, so he slumped to the floor and bawled his eyes out. Naruto took pity on the kid and stood up from his seat. He walked over to the slumped form of Inari and knelt in front of him. He did the only thing he could do to the clearly distraught teen. He hugged him. The boy clung to Naruto's chest and cried hard. Naruto kept whispering calming words to the boy while rubbing his back, hoping to get him to calm down. Everyone was quiet, looking at Naruto and Inari on the floor. Not one of them offered any questions or words of comfort. None were necessary. They could clearly see that Naruto accepted the life he lived and let it stay in the past. Nothing needs to be said, so they just watched. After a while, Inari cried himself to sleep, so Naruto scooped him up in his arms and looked at everyone in the room. Guys, I'm going to take Inari to bed, then I'm going out for a while. With that, he left the room and walked up the stairs carrying a sleeping tear-stained boy in his arms. End of flashback. Ever since that incident, Naruto and Inari had become close and sharing stories about their life. Inari looked up to Naruto as a brother, while the latter has been seeing the kid as a little brother he never had. Both were inseparable when in the house, and the rest of the team often found them either at the garden or on the roof talking and laughing. Naruto channeled a little chakra to Kazuhime that was immediately surrounded by a greenish glow. He lashed out with a horizontal slice and released a crescent-shaped wave of chakra that cut one of the trees in front of him. Naruto got out of his stance and returned his sword back in the tattoo, then wiped the sweat off his face. The crunch of leaves made him alert for a potential attack. He turned towards the source of the noise and saw a girl wearing a pink sleeveless kimono with dark pink trimmings. That girl was carrying a wicker basket filled with herbs. The girl looked stunned at the sudden tenseness of the boy in front of him. Sorry. I didn't mean to startle you. Apologized the girl. Naruto relaxed and gave the girl a smile. No problem, miss. I was just caught by surprise, that's all. The girl returned the smile. Naruto noticed that she was somewhat cute and immediately erased the thought from his mind. Pervert. He berated himself. What are you doing this far out in the woods, miss? Haku, my name is Haku. I came out here to pick up some herbs for a friend of mine. He was injured recently so I want to help him heal faster by getting him some medicinal herbs for his injury," explained the now-named girl. "Glad to meet you, Haku. My name is Naruto, Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto," introduced Naruto while wiping the sweat off his face. He removed his robe and folded it on the ground beside him. "Nice to meet you, Naruto. I haven't seen you around these parts. Are you new here?" asked Haku as she stepped closer to Naruto. "Not really. We came here at the behest of Tazuna, the bridge builder," said Naruto. "Oh. So you must be those ninja guys that the villagers were talking about. You must be very strong to stand up to Geto," complimented Haku as she seated herself on the ground and made herself comfortable placing the basket of herbs beside her. Naruto followed her example and flopped down on the grass in front of her. He scratched his head in embarrassment. "No, not really. I'm still new at this job. I was doing some training before you arrived." "Really? From the looks of it, you are pretty strong already." She gestured towards Naruto's muscled body that was quite visible with his fishnet shirt on. Naruto blushed. "Nah. There is still plenty of room for improvement, so I train whenever I can, so that I can be stronger." Haku gave him a long and speculative look. "Tell me, Naruto, do you have any precious people back at your home?" Naruto was confused at the question. He scratched his head and thought about it. "Well, I do have some precious people back in Konoha. I have the old man Hokage, the Ichiraku family, and my teammates." "Why?" "A wise man once told me that one can get really strong if they have people they want to protect. I just want you to know that since I believe in that saying and since you are trying to get stronger, I'm sure that you would find it useful," explained Haku. Naruto nodded. He agreed with what she said since that was a part of his original drive. Aside from wanting to be the strongest shinobi in the world, he wanted to be stronger than everyone so he can protect those who are precious to him. The conversation afterwards was pleasant for both Naruto and Haku. Naruto talked about his life in Konoha, though he chose to hide parts of it to avoid scaring his new friend. He also found out that Haku was an orphan from the mist who ran away here to wave with her friend to get away from the killings and war. Naruto noticed that there were similar points in both their lives and he was somewhat happy that he met someone that clearly understood him. Unknowing to Naruto, Haku was feeling the same. After an hour, Haku told him that she needs to leave soon and she still needs to pick some more herbs for her friend, so Naruto offered to help her get the herbs she wanted. So an amused Haku left with a basket full of medicinal herbs courtesy of Naruto and his shadow clones. Naruto kept his eyes trained on Haku as she walked towards the woods to leave the clearing they were in. When the last of her silhouette disappeared, Naruto shook his head and decided to continue his training, but a voice interrupted. "Wow kid, I never knew you were branching out," said an amused Kyuubi. Naruto rolled his eyes. "Shut up you pervert," growled Naruto. "Me? A pervert? Ha. I wasn't the one having dirty thoughts. Besides, I just want to congratulate you on your recent change." This made Naruto raise a curious eyebrow. "What recent change?" "Well, your blatant admiration for Haku. A looker," said Kyuubi as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. "So? I'm a guy Kyuubi so it's only natural for me to admire the opposite sex." Naruto defended himself. "True, but you forgot one important fact." "What?" "My sense of smell never lie even when I have to channel it through you. Haku is a boy," revealed the now smirking fox. "What?" Naruto arrived back at Tazuna's house as dinner was about to be served. Everyone was shocked at his appearance. His robes were pretty much untouched and properly folded in his arms, but his fishnet shirt and pants were pretty much torn up. The signs of a large fight were evident and the reason for it was the meeting that happened in the woods. He wouldn't have went overkill with his training tigers, but the thought that he admired a boy made his skin crawl and he really wanted to make himself forget by facing up with claws, paws, and fang. It was an amazing therapy and it really helped. He even made the tigers happy by asking them to up the training a bit. Sadistic furballs. "Naruto. Where have you been? What happened to you?" Kurenai cried out when she saw Naruto walk through the door and saw his sorry state. "Don't worry about it Kurenai-sensei. I'm just tired. I just got back from training." Naruto answered her tiredly while slumping down the couch. "Training? No training will make you look like that," complained the red-eyed Jounin. Sakura butted in before Naruto could open his mouth. "Don't worry about Naruto, Kurenai-sensei. This is normal for him, trust me." She looked at Naruto. "You trained with the trio again didn't you?" Naruto nodded. "Yep. They were extra vicious today." He shuddered at what he went through with his training, plus the incentive why he wanted it that way. Naruto decided that his training tigers learned to be more sadistic at attacking Naruto after each workout. He made a mental note to not tell them to up the training if their appetite for sadism is growing with every passing day. Kurenai looked at Sakura as if she was crazy. "Explain." Sakura rolled her eyes. Naruto just trained with his tigers, so there's no need to worry. I should know. The first time I saw him getting attacked by those tigers of his, I freaked out. He called it dodge training. Kurenai just nodded dumbly at the thought. Such training was alien to her, so she decided not to press the issue. Sakura trained her gaze back to Naruto. Naruto, can we talk about something? Naruto looked at Sakura and saw that she was serious. He nodded. Sure. Give me 20 minutes to bathe and change my clothes, then meet me up in my room, okay? Sakura nodded and Naruto left the living room to freshen up. After 20 minutes, Sakura knocked on Naruto's room as promised. She waited for a few seconds before the door opened to reveal a slightly wet Naruto wrapped in a towel. He wasn't wearing anything except a towel wrapped around his waist. Seeing the toned body of her blonde teammate made her blush a bit. Of course, Naruto was oblivious to it. Oh hi Sakura. Sorry haven't dressed yet. I wasn't able to take note of the time since I was enjoying the shower too much. Why don't you come in? I'll get back to you in a minute. Said Naruto before dashing off to the table to grab his clothes, then ran to the bathroom, then locked it shut. Sakura just shook her head and walked into the room. She noticed that Shino and Kiba's packs were also there as well. She sat down in one of the beds waiting for Naruto to come out of the bathroom. 5 minutes later, Naruto came out of the bathroom dressed in a white shirt and dark blue shorts. His hair was still slightly damp and the towel he used was draped on his shoulders. He flopped down on the bed in front of Sakura. So Sakura, what do you want to talk about that seems important? Asked a curious Naruto. Sakura hesitated for a bit before mustering up every single drop of her courage and faced Naruto with determination in her eyes. I want to become strong, Naruto. I ask you again to help me train. Naruto wasn't surprised at this since he noticed the small changes in Sakura ever since they took up the mission. He saw that the girl no longer followed Sasuke like a sick puppy or fawned over him when Sasuke got hurt during spars. It seems that the experience in the field made her change, a small change, but a change nonetheless. He decided to give her the same test. You already know the condition of me helping you, Sakura. You have to find your motivation why you want to be stronger. Said Naruto in a calm voice. Sakura nodded. Ever since you told me that, I can't seem to get it out of my head. Ever since the fight with the Demon Brothers and Zabuza, I saw how useless I was at everything you guys did. I mean, you're not the only one who is strong. I saw that everyone else have their own strengths to contribute to the team. But me. She looked down, depressed over her weakness. Naruto just shook his head. You have never been weak, Sakura. You have the makings of a powerful shinobi of Konoha. You just don't have the right motivation to drive you forward. Again, I will ask you the same question. Why do you want to become strong? Sakura raised her head and looked at Naruto straight in the eye, determination burning behind them. I want to be strong so I can protect myself. I don't want to be a burden anymore. I saw how weak I am and I don't ever want to feel the same way again. Naruto, I want you to help me become a strong Kunoichi. Strong enough to protect myself, my teammate, and those I love. Declared Sakura in a voice that broke no nonsense. Naruto grinned. Correct answer, Sakura. He channeled a bit of chakra towards his storage tattoo while thinking of a specific scroll. A poof of smoke startled Sakura a bit before seeing a pink scroll in Naruto's hand. What's that? She pointed at the scroll that a grinning Naruto was holding. Oh, this is a training plan for you. I made it when you first asked me that you want my help. I didn't give it to you because you haven't found the right motivation. Now that you have, I will give this to you to help you train. Everything you need to get you started on the basics is indicated on the scroll. I also included some training tools and a weapon that would fit you quite well, along with some jutsus that I'm sure you can master with ease. Explained Naruto as he handed the scroll to a stunned Sakura who was on the verge of tears. Naruto stood up from the bed and moved towards the door but was stopped when he heard Sakura's voice. I won't fail you, Naruto. Declared Sakura in a strong voice. Naruto smiled. I'm sure you won't, Sakura. He whispered before going out the door and closing it behind him, leaving a grateful and determined Sakura inside. Next day. Naruto woke up pretty early compared to the rest. The conversation he had with Sakura last night was enlightening to say the least. He just hoped that she can handle the training schedule he devised for her. If she followed the instructions down to the last dot, he is sure that she would be a strong asset to the team in just a month. After his morning routine in the bathroom, Naruto went downstairs and exited the house towards the garden to get his morning workout done. He stopped his training when Tsunami called him for breakfast. He was about to tell her to give him a few more minutes, but his stomach growled against the idea. Deciding to give in to the monster in his stomach, he grudgingly trudged up back to the house and towards the kitchen. Naruto found himself walking towards the bridge with Shino and Tazuna. It was his shift to watch out for the old man, and it was quite a boring job. He wished Zabuza would just attack and get this over and done with and save him from the hell called boredom. When they got to the bridge, Naruto noticed that there were fewer workers compared to his last guard duty. One of the workers wearing a straw hat similar to Tezuna's walked towards the old man with a depressed look on his face. "Hello there, Kinto. What can I do for you? Where are the rest of the workers?" asked Tezuna, already knowing what this was about. Kinto looked away, not meeting Tezuna's eyes. "Tezuna, I don't think I can work with you anymore." Tezuna's face was still neutral, but Naruto could see the anger, sadness and determination behind those glasses. "Why? The bridge is almost finished. 2 more weeks and we could have finished it and get away from Gato." Kinto shrugged his shoulders. "I can't take it anymore, old man. Gato is making it worse for everyone. Only a few are able to disregard his actions and continue to work with you. The others who left before me was already too stressed from his tyranny. I have to quit now before Gato set his eyes on my family. They are all I have," he pleaded with the old man. Tezuna just nodded and clapped the man on the shoulder. "Don't worry, Kinto. I won't hold it against you. Go back to your family. We'll get the bridge finished on time. Don't you worry." Kinto gave Tezuna a grateful nod before walking past the old man and back to his waiting family. When the guy was out of sight, Tezuna's shoulder drooped and looked sadly at the few workers who were brave enough to lend him a hand. "If this keeps up, I'll have to finish the bridge by myself." Naruto looked at the workers and back to Tezuna. "Hey old man, when you started out how many workers do you have?" "I think I had around 50 of the guys working with me. Why do you ask?" Naruto just ignored the question and fired back another. "With 50 workers, how long would it take to finish the bridge?" Tezuna released a thoughtful frown and looked at the unfinished bridge. "I would say 2 more weeks if I had 50 workers with me." Naruto nodded. "What if you had more? Do you think you could finish it early?" Tezuna laughed. "Well kid, if I had 100 workers then I can finish this bridge in a week or even less if they work fast." "Why you ask, kid?" Naruto gave him an evil grin. "I think I can provide you with enough workers to get your bridge done in the shortest possible time." Now this interested Tezuna. "Really kid? How do you intend to do that?" asked Tezuna, clearly humoring Naruto and thinking that a kid can give him the worker he needs. But this. Naruto did his trademark seal and shouted. "Mass Shadow Clone." The large puff of smoke covered the bridge which cleared revealing 200 Narutos, giving Tezuna a cheeky grin. Naruto nodded at the sight and looked at a gaping Tezuna. "Well, old man. There's your workers, now why don't you take charge and get this bridge of yours done? They have my skill and strength so they can do what I can do to help you with everything you want. If you want more, all you need to do is ask." It took a while for Tezuna to get out of his shock before thanking Naruto profusely. The blonde genin just waved at him and told him to get on it already. With that, Tezuna started dividing the clones up for different tasks and got them to work. Naruto and Shino were sitting on the piles of rocks in one corner of the bridge while watching Tezuna order the clones about. "That was nice of you to help him out, Naruto-san," said Shino. Naruto scratched the back of his head in embarrassment at being complimented. "Nah. I just want to give them all the help they need." Then his face turned serious. "I don't want these people to feel sad and depressed anymore. The sooner they finish this bridge and we finish off Gato, the better their life would be. Still, it was kind of you to lend a helping hand. Even I no longer consider this a mission, but a service that needs to be rendered," said Shino as he returned his vigil over the bridge to keep watch of coming dangers. Naruto just nodded and kept watch. He noticed that Tezuna was walking towards him with a sheepish yet huge grin on his face. "So what's up, old man?" said Naruto cheerfully. I wonder if you can make more of these clones. Since I know you guys can walk on walls, I wonder if I can use more clones to check the underside of the bridge and possibly do some reinforcement jobs on it. I couldn't do it with the previous workers, but with your skills, I can easily make the bridge stronger than ever." He added the last part with a proud grin. "Sure, old man. Glad to help." Naruto created 200 more clones and told them to follow Tezuna's orders, who thanked him before scooting off. Shino just raised an eyebrow at how easy Naruto made these clones. If he did the technique with the same amount then he would be good as dead. He just shook his head at the thought and decided that Naruto was someone that can make the impossible possible. Thank you for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see the next part, don't forget to turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Please like, subscribe, and comment below to let me know your thoughts. Check out my other videos for more content you might enjoy. Until next time, take care.